Welcome to Slippery Rock University football. First game of the year, and we're coming to you live from Kentucky. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Bob Cupp, along with Tyler Friel here today for the first game of the year. The Rock on the road this year to face Kentucky State, the Thorobreds, here this afternoon at Alumni Stadium on a cloudy, overcast day, but most importantly right now, dry. We had a lot of rain down here from the remnants of Hurricane Harvey, and I think you're experiencing some of that now in western Pennsylvania, at least some clouds and drizzle. It has not been raining since the overnight, so that's the good news because we have a natural grass turf field here. And we'll talk about that here this afternoon for this first ever matchup between Slippery Rock and Kentucky State on the football field. And they'll meet again next year to open up the 2018 season at Slippery Rock's Mahalik-Thompson Stadium. Tyler Friel, good afternoon. Welcome back to another year of Rock football.
Oh, here we are, Bob. Again, it's football season. When we were getting ready to go into the car to make the drive down here, all of a sudden it was about 65 degrees, windy. I'm like, it's fall football is back. We are in September. No, it's great to be here, obviously. It's great to have football back. You know, you just get that itch right around August. You start, just running into things around the house because you got that itch for contact, and that's what these guys are looking to do here. We were talking with Coach Lutz earlier, getting ready for today's broadcast and the game, and he even has that, sense of, look, we got to go out and play. We're tired of hitting each other. We're tired of going up against each other. Let's go out and hit somebody else. Now, it turns out the other team is green as well in Kentucky State, but they're going to be banging bodies out here today. We've got college football back. It is a great time to be alive, Bob. I'm very stoked to be here right now. Let's go.
It feels like you just came out of that huddle down there from the warm-ups.
I did.
Talk about a spirited team. The Rock will be in their all-white uniform today with the green letters, and you do have a Thoroughbred team that will have green jerseys with yellow pants. So it's going to be a fun day here today. And again, thankfully, it's dry right now. And looking at the latest radar, if we get a sprinkle, that might be about it. Really cool atmosphere here today and a great crowd on hand from Slippery Rock University. They had the tailgates going this morning, so it's great to see a lot of the Rock faithful here. And here comes the Kentucky State University Thoroughbred marching band marching down the street into the field in the stadium area. Pretty cool progression. Nothing better than college football in the atmosphere.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And this is a very nice facility we have here at Kentucky State. As you had mentioned, the natural grass playing surface, which I was down on checking it out, takes me back to my days of playing midget football at Butler Memorial Park, for those of you who are familiar with that situation, that scenario. And it's a throwback stadium. We've got some nice concrete bleachers. It's the whole thing, the whole 9 yards. And, it just screams college football.
It really does. And this is a rarity for the Rock to play on a natural grass field. Just the fourth time in the last 7 years that SRU has been scheduled to play on a grass surface. The last time we were down at Winston-Salem State in North Carolina, down south again back in November of 2013 for a national playoff game. And also we opened up the year a few years back, if you remember our visit up to Northwood, Michigan. That was a natural grass field as well. But this today features a matchup of two coaches that are on kind of the opposite ends of the spectrum. Very well versed in the college football world, but of course, Sean Lutz just beginning his second year at the helm of Slippery Rock University. At last year's debut, he went 7-4. He has 21 years overall with the Rock program, but going up against a guy named John L. Smith, who's beginning just his second year, ironically, as the head coach at Kentucky State, where he was 4-7 last year. But this is a guy that's been a Big Ten Coach of the Year back in 2003 when he was at Michigan State serving there. He's got a strong Division I background. Michigan State, he's also been down at Arkansas, Utah State, the University of Idaho, and here he is now trying to resurrect this Kentucky State program.
Yeah, a guy that definitely has a pedigree about him, John L. Smith, Big Ten Coach of the Year back in 2003. He was the guy there before Mark D'Antoni took over for the Spartans. So obviously you're getting pedigree, you're getting a guy with a reputation, and a guy with Division I connections. And that's a thing that we talked about with Coach Lutz earlier in the week. Look, you're bringing in JUCO transfers, you're bringing in guys who may have just been floating out there for a little bit. And so there's a lot of unknowns with this Kentucky State team. Take, for example, their quarterback, Paul Campbell, down on the field, checking this guy out. Big-time arm, but also a guy that has pocket presence and is just a big individual, solid. So you have guys like this coming into the program. He's an older guy, John L. Smith. I believe he's 68 years old, so this is going to be it for him. You know, I don't think he has any Division I ambitions anymore. His time and effort is sunk here into Kentucky State. So how that translates to year two, I think we're going to find out. But this is a guy that could easily get this program turned around real quick. Heck, they made a championship appearance last year despite their record.
Yeah, they absolutely did. They were good in their division, and that's what you always want. We know that from the Rock coaching staff always saying focus on the PSAC West right out of the gate. They had 140 kids come out for this program this year, so that tells you there's a strong interest to play for this guy. Let's talk about the Rock, though. We have a lot of transition this year with regard to new faces, new names, and it starts right at the top. Redshirt senior Tanner Gary has been named the starting quarterback for the season opener, and this will mark the fourth consecutive season the Rock has started out with a new signal caller, so a new face at the helm of the Rock offense.
Yeah, transfer QBU, this is turning out to be Slippery Rock. I know you take a kid in Tanner Gary. He came here last year, so obviously you had first-year offensive coordinator Justin Roper installing a little bit of new wrinkles into the offense, and under that was Tanner Gary. He was working scout team, so he's familiar with the offense, and I think that's one of the reasons why he got the top job. But he's a former Bowling Green player, went to Youngstown State, and now he's at Slippery Rock, so he's a fifth-year senior. He was redshirted earlier in the process. This is a guy that has a gunslinger mentality. You know, you take a look at him on tape, you take a look at him on the practice field, you see a guy that has an arm that can play. And when you run this style of offense, I think that's a big thing, having a guy that can whip it across the field. And we've got dry conditions today. I think that's something that we can't understate with what the Slippery Rock offense does. So Tanner Gary comes in here, works the scout team all last year, has the patience. He goes into camp in a tight quarterback battle. Another transfer from St. Francis, Andrew Kessler, he comes in, provides a little bit of competition. And then Rock fans remember last year, Augustus Nicastro, he came in some relief situations for the Rock last year. So you had a three-way battle at camp. The Rock have depth at that position, which is something that they really haven't had over the past few years. But Tanner Gary comes out of that with the win in terms of camp, getting the starting job. He's a guy that I think the offense can look at as a leadership mentality, a guy that is now in the second year of knowing the Justin Roper offense, knowing the wrinkles, different things like that. So he's the guy that's going to take over. He's the guy that the Rock are going to look to run this offense. And we mentioned the ability to extend plays, the strong arm. Those are the types of things you like to see from the air raid offense in your quarterback.
And he's a guy that's thrown for 50 touchdowns in his high school career. The only concern will be is he's seen the playing field in college, but this will be his first start, believe it or not, since 2011. So that will be fun to watch to see how that develops today. Behind Tanner Gary in the backfield, well, of course, we know we don't have the all-time leading rusher at Slippery Rock University, Shamar Green, anymore. So who's taking over? Well, to start the year, it's going to be Chakar Berry starting in the backfield, and he'll be back there with a guy who made All-PSAC performance second team last year in Isaiah Neely.
Yeah, this is a good double-team running back combo. Chakar Berry, he's a guy that's going to come in. He provides a little bit of a power essence. Isaiah Neely, I would say, it's a little bit more finesse. So you do have a little bit of salt and pepper, yin and yang in the backfield. You know, talking to Sean Lutz, he wants to have these guys split the role. That's essentially how he envisions this running back duo working. Neely getting 20 carries, Barry getting 20 carries. So we'll see how that works out.
And with going back to Tanner Gary, you know, the first start for him in quite some time, no better way than to maybe control the game on the ground as you get set to go. We're going to continue our discussion here in just a moment. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back and talk about what will be maybe the biggest strength of this offense this year outside of the receiving core, and that being the offensive line. We'll also talk about the defense and the Lou look on defense as well. But we'll take a break and come back with more Rock football in a moment on The Rock Station 97.7. May need a promo.
Kentucky Army National Guard for providing our color guard for today's game.
And we're back here right after the national anthem. Just about 4 minutes to kickoff this afternoon here in Kentucky. We are enjoying right now a decent day if you take away the clouds. Very comfortable, very, very light breeze, so I don't think the weather's going to play a whole lot of factor outside of what's already on the field. And Tyler, you were down on the field on the natural grass surface and mentioned that it is old school, but how was it as far as dampness?
I don't think it was too bad. I mean, we can see some spots of mud that are lying around. I think this field's going to get torn up fairly well today, just because I think, especially right in between the 30s, is where you're going to see it. So it's a little bit different. You know, a lot of these kids, even in high school, are used to playing on that turf surface. So coming back to play on natural grass, I'm sure it's going to be slick in areas. So it'll be intriguing to see how this plays out in special teams, how it plays out inside the trenches, and a lot of the skill players that have to make those plants and trying to get in and out. I don't know. We'll see what it shakes out. I haven't put on a pair of cleats and played football in a while, Bob, so I can tell you what, I was fine when I was out.
Well, let's talk about the continuing preview here, and the offensive line is where we're at next as the captains meet at the 50-yard line for the coin toss. Marcus Martin, Millie Ray for the Rock, along with Ian Park and Delmar Henderson. The offensive line might be the strongest unit for this Rock this year, at least the most experienced, because I think they're going to have a great receiving core here. But certainly the offensive line, very, very strong, and a very key ingredient has been added in the offseason to that.
Yeah, Ian Park comes in from Northwestern University, and Bob, you and I were with him on the elevator at the team hotel last night, and I can tell you this is one big individual. This guy's going to anchor this offensive line. I think when you return a veteran presence inside the trenches, that is so paramount with this offense. Guys that know what they need to do, guys that are conditioned to run, because you think of a typical pro style offense, the big guys are inside the huddle, they can break, they can take their breath. Here, with the air raid offense, with that high tempo, high speed, high pace offense, those offensive linemen have to get up to that line and continue to go. But they got some big dudes out there that are athletic as well. A dynamite combination, that's what you want out of your guys up front.
And the guys that will be split out from that include wide receiver Marcus Johnson, coming back after what turned out to be a tremendous finish to his junior year. And we're looking for this gentleman who transferred into Slippery Rock from Teal to have a monster year as a senior. Finished out last year with a tremendous 4-touchdown game. And I expect him to really pick that back up here.
Yeah, you talked to Coach Lutz, and a player that his eyebrows perk up at when you mention his name is Marcus Johnson. He just really likes his athletic ability. Says he was in the weight room during the offseason. He's put some pounds on. But the big thing that they like about Marcus Johnson is his deep ball ability. So you've got a big arm quarterback in Tanner Gary, and you have a guy that can go up and get it in Marcus Johnson. He's not going to blaze you with the speed. The agility is not there. But the terms of when that ball's at its highest point, who's going to go up there and grab it? It's going to be Marcus Johnson. So we're going to see how he factors into today's game and then for the rest of the 2017 season.
And split in the slot for the Rock will be Millie Ray, back for his senior year. Let's talk about that defense quickly. The Rock has won the toss. They're going to receive the ball here to kick off our game. But what a transition on defense. We've got freshmen everywhere, literally, and let's start with the linebacking core.
Yeah, this is where I think a lot of the Rock season is going to depend on. It's going to be the front seven. And we have seen Slippery Rock, they almost have this mantra of the ability to stop the run. When you have front seven that are as young as Slippery Rock is, that could be a big issue. I mean, obviously you have Marcus Martin up front. He's coming off the right defensive end. He's going to be making plays. But who's behind him? You look at the linebacking core. Tim Vernick, brother of Bob, he's the middle linebacker. This guy's a redshirt sophomore. I mean, he is young. So he's going to be the anchor in there, and then he'll be flanked by Tristan McDonald, and then he'll also have Dylan Whiteman beside him. So we've got some young dudes playing in the 3 spot out of the 4-3. Front seven, Bob, this is where my interest lies in this game. Can the Rock win the defensive battle up front?
And we're set to go with Marcus Johnson back deep for the Rock, along with Kyle Hall. The Rock has won the toss, as I mentioned, and they want the ball to kick off the 2017 season here against Kentucky State. So we are ready to go for game number 1 of Rock football this year. And doing the kicking for Kentucky State is Mirahay Cal. And it's a short boot And going to come in the vicinity of Kyle Hall, takes a bounce about the 7 and into his arms, and he crosses up at 10, goes back behind Marcus Johnson, who didn't realize Kyle was there. I think if Marcus continues to block on the outside, they sprint to the outside, but you saw some tremendous team speed there as the Thoroughbreds come downfield and tackle Kyle Hall at about the 13.
Bizarre kick, but it actually worked out well. It died right around the 5-yard line in the corner, so not enough for it to go out of bounds, yet deep enough to make it a difficult play for Kyle Hall. Small return, but the Rock are going to set up shop. Would they officially mark it up, Bob, the 13-yard line?
13-yard line.
And we've seen the natural grass, I think, come into play here on play 1. And even looking at it right now, where they're going to set up, this place has been beaten up right around the 10-yard line during team warm-ups. And again, I do think this is going to be a factor in today's game.
Slippery Rock has won its last 8 consecutive season openers, including last year's comeback victory over New Haven at home. The last time the Rock failed to open their season with a victory was all the way back in 2008 against Seton Hill. And the first snap of the game is waved off.
Oh, we've
got a motion play on the start of that. The flag dropped in the back. And no, actually a delay of game. So the Rock very late coming onto the field there. So the ball moving before we even get the ball snapped from the 13 back to the 8-yard line, and it'll be interesting to see what happens today. You're in unfamiliar territory. This is also the first game of the year for a referee crew, too.
Yeah, and you also have this group of officials from the Kentucky State Conference. I'm not going to go conspiracy theory, but I do think it's something that's going to enter the back of the minds of the Rock coaching staff.
We got a little end around going on here. Millie Ray goes in motion. They fake the pitch to Barry and then hand it off on a pitch to Marcus Johnson on an end around. And Marcus gets back the penalty yardage and 2 more out to the 15-yard line.
Yeah, a little trickery there, and you had the defensive end biting on it. Kentucky State's left defensive end. He came in too hot, Jalaine Dingle, and then they were able to get around him. And again, the footing a bit of an issue. Marcus Johnson couldn't make that quick turn up the field as he wanted to.
And a quick snap and a handoff, and inside goes Jakar Perry. And he's out across the 15. Actually, no, he gets pushed backward. They say maybe a knee down right at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and again, maybe just a little bit of miscommunication up front by the Rock offense. You had the outside linebacker on the left side for Kentucky State able to come in and make the tackle. And so here you are facing a 3rd down and long. Not a situation the Rock want to be in on their first drive.
So 3rd and 8. They've got to get across the 20-yard line for the first down in the shotgun. Is Tanner Gary throws inside, has a pass in and out of the hands of the intended receiver, that being Andrew Bridgeforth. He had his mitts on it. Good coverage, though, by the Thoroughbreds. C.J. Toney, he was right on him, and I think that had as much to do with it, him not coming up with the ball, so it will be a punting situation after the incompletion.
Yeah, little low throw from Gary, but you can even see right there, tight, crisp spiral, quick out of the hand, good pocket presence. You can tell why they like his arm. Not a bad throw, a very catchable ball. And as you mentioned, some tight defense on coverage there, but those are where those 3rd and long situations are going to get you, and that all starts with the penalty on the first play.
Back deep will be Brett Stile. He'll be alone at about his 44. Here's the boot from Jake Chaplin. He hit a monster. Back across the 40 to the 39. A tackle missed. And now coming in on the backside is Slippery Rock's that's actually Andrew Bridgeforth. So he missed the pass, but makes the tackle on special teams.
And you actually had Mike Murhott being the lead guy down there. Couldn't bring him up on the first initial tackle, but then you have that gang tackling type initiative from the Rock, Andrew Bridgeforth there to finish business off. Nice punt, though, from Jake Chaplin. He really got a leg on that.
He booted it, and they'll start at the 39-yard line. So he was standing at the 44, had to back up 5 yards to grab it. Took off and ran, and was broken up immediately, and didn't have a return. So it'll be 1st and 10 Thoroughbreds at the 39-yard line at the 13:40 mark. Just underway, no score here in Kentucky. And we'll see the Thoroughbreds for the first time and their new quarterback in Paul Campbell, Jr., transferred in out of Iowa Central. They send a man in motion. That's Cameron Gore, and they will hand it off and hit at the line of scrimmage and dropped. Is the running back. That
Lavelle Cloyd.
Was Lavelle Cloyd, number 8, who was their starting running back, and he's dropped for a loss back to the 35-yard line. It'll be a loss of 4.
Yeah, and you just saw explosion from the front 4 of Slippery Rock. They were able to get past the offensive line of Kentucky State rather easily.
2nd and 14 now. Into the shotgun they go. And we're going to have this play blown dead. This is also going to be what appears to be a motion penalty on Kentucky State. So 2 penalties for both offenses in the first series each. And that's something I think you can expect first game of the year.
Yeah, at college football, you get no preseason games. This is something the NFL can work out, but at the collegiate level, these games matter in week 1. And small things like penalties, you don't have the time to work these kinks out outside of just going up against yourselves. And so you're right, Bob. I do think we're going to see a lot of penalties just to begin. I think that's just the nature of the game.
Moving back to the 30-yard line. Here's the snap. Campbell throws across field high and out of bounds. His intended receiver was Brett Stile, the return man, and he had no prayer of that. That was about 15 feet over his head.
Yeah, strong arm from Campbell, but obviously a miscommunication in terms of timing and in terms of placement. Threw it, like you said, maybe about 5 yards over his head and 10 yards deep. And so now Kentucky State faced with a third and really long situation here. Slippery Rock just has to defend the first down marker at the 50.
3rd and 19. Yeah, they've got to get to just shy of the 50-yard line for the first down. They're going to line up trip receivers on the near side, kind of bunched with a receiver on the far side. And in the shotgun is Campbell on 3rd down. He takes the snap. He's looking that way to the bunch. Now he's going to look the other way and dump it off. That's Stile who misses a tackler. And it fumbles. Oh! Popped into the hands of a Rock defender. And he's going to bring it down to the 15-yard line. Popped right up in the air on the hit. And
you had Mason DeHart come away with it, and Bob, that thing flew up in the air and came down right into DeHart's hand like a basket of bread, and he was able to take it for a little bit, and that puts the Rock in premier position. But that play, Bob, starts all with the coverage that the Rock had. I mean, they had every pattern covered, including slot receiver coming across the middle, Timmy Vernick doing a nice job of staying with him, and then you had secondary coverage. That forced Campbell to check down, and then the quick hit missed the Rock defender that was there, and he did it exactly how you want to. Helmet on the ball, little action, boom, ball up in the air, DeHart there. The Rock now in prime position.
Mason DeHart, number 43, out of Duquesne University, transferred in here from Seneca Valley, his high school. And we go 1st and 10 at the 17, the Rock. Handoff by Gary to Shakar Berry, and he goes forward to the 15 and crosses the 15 down to the 14-yard line, a gain of 3.
And a little chippiness after the play. We've seen this a few times. I think a little frustrations, that first game football anxiety playing itself out on the field. A little bit of a decision-making hold up there on the handoff. Tanner Gary holding that football in a little bit too long on the exchange with Shakar Berry. This is something, again, he's just going to have to familiarize himself with when he gets into the game.
Now he's going to roll out and pitch it to Berry, and he's got running room down across the 10 to the 9. Let's see if they spot him at the 9 or the 8-yard line. I think they're going to give him the 8-yard line. And that'll be close to a first down. It'll be, looks like a 3rd and 1 after the 6-yard carry.
Yeah, nice Shakar Berry seeking out punishment, a la Shamar Green, looking for contact and falling forward.
Here's the snap. And he looks for the end zone, and it's going to be blown dead. Has Bridgeforth in and out of his hands, but we've got a flag on the far side. And I think they might have a penalty maybe on the far side to Marcus Johnson. No, it's encroachment on the defense. So that'll give them the first down.
Yeah, saw one of the big guys up front just hopping a little bit early. Don't know if the Rock went with a hard count, but they got someone a little bit too eager and enough to where he crossed the line. They had to blow the play dead. So the Rock don't get the free play, but they do get the first down.
I saw Marcus Johnson react to the sideline. Thought maybe he got called on something, but it was the guy defending him. So here we go. 1st and goal for the Rock. They move the ball inside the 10 to the 8-yard line. And in the shotgun is Tanner Gary. He's looking for the end zone, throws it inside, knocked away. Intended receiver was Mike Merhot. And that was knocked away very, very impressively by Kentucky State.
Yeah, Bo Jones was the one working one-on-one against Mike Merhot. Not essentially a pick play, but really just an inside route intended for Merhot. Another nice bullet pass from Gary, but maybe a bad decision. That was tight one-on-one coverage, one you want to hold on instead of letting that one fire, especially on a first down play.
Got double tight end set now. McNally and Cirillo in, and they're going to hand it off to Berry. He goes in toward the 5-yard line and is stopped at the 7. A gain of 1. It closed up quick. Thoroughbred defense showing some speed.
Yeah, and you had Ian Park, the right guard. He came over, laid on a nice little block. You can tell why the Rock obviously like having a big guy, athletic man like that on the line. But Kentucky State's linebackers were able to fill that gap and stop Berry.
The Rock offensive line averaging 6'2", 296 this year. They're some big boys. Here's Gary with the snap. He's looking far end zone, has a man, and it's caught. Marcus Johnson cuts it inside and picks up the first 6 points for Slippery Rock in 2017.
And that's a pass right there that is right on the money. Tanner Gary having pocket presence. I thought maybe they had a flag on the field. No, it was just a touchdown. Anyways, pocket presence, holding his spot, and then able to fire one right on target to Marcus Johnson. We talked about Johnson's ability to go up and get it. He didn't have to jump too high, but when Gary knows he can throw it higher than what that cornerback's at and trust his wide receiver, that's a big win because you're going to limit the number of turnovers and gives you good looks like that inside the red zone.
Interesting extra point try here, not because it's Jake Chapla, but because it's Jim Popa doing the snapping. Here's the snap. It's a good one. Here's the kick. It's a kind of a poocher through the upright and good. And the reason we say interesting, you say Jim Popa, that's the center. Well, he's the center. He's not the long snapper, but he is today. Unfortunately, Garrett McFarland came down with a bit of a problem and was unable to make the trip because of an illness. And hopefully he'll be back sooner than later.
Yeah, a lot of the Rock experts, I suppose, medical staff think he'll be back next week. So you're hoping that you can just hold the fort and then come away with a win today. You don't have to worry about any long snapping mishaps. And maybe the only thing they'll have to worry about is on extra points, Bob. And that's really what we hope to be the case today.
Well, the Rock put points up on the board for the first time this year thanks to a fumble recovered by Mason Dehart out of Seneca Valley High School. The Rock convert a 7-yard touchdown pass Tanner Gary to Marcus Johnson to make it 7-0 here in Kentucky. And we'll get set for the kickoff here at the 11:26 mark of the first quarter here. Glad you joined us here on Rock Football on 97.7 FM. Is streaming as well at 977rocks.com. And if you head over to rockathletics.com, you can pick up broadcast coverage as well, a live stream video with our audio today. So I encourage you to do that and check out things happening here in the state capital of Kentucky. And the Rock getting pay dirt first this afternoon here in Frankfort, Kentucky at Alumni Stadium. Jake Chapla is going to be the kicker in all facets this year. Kickoff specialties, as well as the extra point, field goal, and punting duties. And he hits one sidewinder that's downfield to Stiles. He picks it up over the 10, comes across the 15, 20, trips, stays alive on his feet, 25, 26-yard line. Great return by Brett Stile out of Hammond, Louisiana, and shows some great speed. 5'8", 193-pound sophomore. Was listed as a running back. We've seen him out there on the field in the split, the slot split out wide, and pretty impressive return for the young man.
Yeah, this will be an interesting drive here from Kentucky State. They really could find no footing on that first effort. And, of course, you know, your first drive of the season, we saw the same thing from the Rock, not clicking on all cylinders. Here's a big one. You had a turnover on the last drive. You had a major penalty and a major play for a loss. And so now you're sitting at 1st and 10. Not bad field position, 26-yard line. Intriguing to see how the Thoroughbreds respond.
Thoroughbreds split 3 receivers to the top side, which if you're looking at the radio, they're moving from right to left. And the top sideline is the Slippery Rock sideline. Campbell is going to hand it off to Cloyd, and he's immediately hit in the backfield by number 44, Marcus Martin. No, check that. That is not Marcus Martin. I saw the 4 and assumed that's actually number 45, Timmy Vernick, the freshman, redshirt freshman out of Butler High School, in there with the stop for a loss of 1 yard.
Long developing play, and then both linebackers, Vernick and Whiteman, were able to read that gap. They were able to get in there and stuff it. And so nice reading by this young linebacking core.
Here they go on 2nd and 11, and it'll be a play action. Roll out by Campbell to the far side, throws, has his man caught. He's got the first down and running room, and he's going to be tackled as he's brought down at the 49, actually the 48-yard line, and a nice kind of a hitch route there out to the Thoroughbreds, number 81, Jonathan Powell.
Good call by Kentucky State. Again, we talk about this young linebacking core. They bid on the run. Vernick and Whiteman come in. They bite. Campbell's able to get an easy rollout. That left one-on-one coverage. You talk about a nice hitch route. Good placement by Paul Campbell and a nice play by Kentucky State.
24-yard gain to midfield. First down, Kentucky State. Campbell barking. Got the Rock to come off, but they did not make contact. No encroachment. Now he settles things down. Doesn't check with me to the sideline, and they're going to shift Cloyd into the backfield behind Campbell, who's in the pistol, and he's going to hand it off. And, oh, boy, blocked to the inside was the Rock's number 94, that being Zach Bader, who started today's game, and we'll explain, but he was knocked out of the road, and that opened up a running lane for Cloyd. who heads downfield and picks up another first down into Rock territory to the 38-yard line and a pickup of 12.
Yeah, Bader had the explosion coming off the left side, but that was almost what Kentucky State wanted. Missed the guard who was able, or rather the tackle that was able to continue on with him, move him out of the way. That left a wide open right side that Kentucky State was able to take advantage of.
So first down, and the Kentucky State Thorobreds on the move, trying to respond to the Rock's first score of the day. And now here's a keeper on Campbell, and he knocks over the Rock's number 45, Mason Timmy Vernick, and keeps going and picks up near another first down, a 9-yard scramble.
Well, not too many times are you going to see a quarterback in the Division II level be bigger than a starting middle inside linebacker, but that's the case here. You've got Vernick coming into this game at 6 foot 220. That may be a bit generous on the scorecard. And then you have Paul Campbell, who sits at 6'3", 230. This is a big dude coming up the middle, and he had a little bit of leverage and was able to take out Vernick.
2nd and 1. Now they'll hand it off and hit in the backfield. This time it's Marcus Martin coming across and grabbing and grasping Lavelle Cloyd, taking him backward, add another tackle for a loss to number 44's resume, and it pushes it back to the 31-yard line, a loss of 3.
You know what you're going to get with Marcus Martin. He's a guy that's going to penetrate the offensive line. He may be a guy that a lot of offensive lines are going to have to double team, and this is why we talk about that young front seven, Bob, how big of an impact they're going to have, because when offensive lines can focus in on Martin, that means the other guys, the other 6, if they're all coming in at once, they're the ones that are going to have to make the play. So this front 4, and you've got some talented guys. We've seen Zach Bader come in, and he's not even the starter. We've seen some Tim Suave plays on the inside as well. This is a front 4 that's going to have to get it together.
Now here's a scramble up the middle again by Campbell on the keeper, and he's going to get the first down. Just plows across the 30, pushes his head down to the 27-yard line. First down, Kentucky State. 67th tackle for a loss all time by Marcus Martin. And we'll have more on him coming up at halftime. We've got a nice little preview of what accolades Marcus Martin has accomplished and compiled heading into his senior season here at Slippery Rock. First down, Kentucky State now. They're on the Rock 27-yard line. In the shotgun goes Campbell. They put a man in motion. That's Demetrius Anderson. And they play fake it to him, and now this time he's going to be caught in the backfield. Marcus Martin across the line again with some help. And they've got another tackle for a loss in the bunch there. They're going to lose a yard on that keeper.
And one thing, again, we've talked about the conditions all game, but really saw that on that play. When the front 4 are trying to explode up into this line, they're getting a tough time having traction on that initial first step. So you've seen a lot of cleats start whiffing. They kind of look like a 1930s cartoon where everybody just keeps running in motion. They're having a tough time getting traction, which really does harm that first initial explosion. They are trying to figure a way to get around it. At least they're making contact, clogging up the middle.
Rock leads at 7-0, but Kentucky State now with a 2nd and 11 inside Rock territory. Play action again, and this time they're going to hit him and drop him for a sack. In on the play, Zach Bader. He's got the sack, dropping Campbell at the 31-yard line, a loss of 3.
Give credit to Dylan Whiteman. He was the left outside linebacker. The Rock send 5. Now, Whiteman was picked up by the Kentucky State Brett Sylvie. He was able to get a block there, but Bader was able to swing himself into the middle, and so caused a lot of confusion. So hat tip to Dylan Whiteman for getting around the edge, causing a little bit of confusion in the backfield.
Zach Bader in on the play. He's started today at outside line, or I'm sorry, not outside line, nose guard for Trey Blandford, who apparently tweaked an ankle during the pregame. Now, we do expect Blandford to play. They were going to tape him up, but he was not able to start the game, and it's paid off already with Bader picking up the sack. We've got a timeout on the field. We'll take a quick break. 6:20 mark with the Rock leading 7-0. Third down for Kentucky State when we come back to Rock football in 30 seconds on the Rock Station. And we're back here. The Rock leading 7-0, but Kentucky State threatening there at the 31-yard line of the Rock. It will be, though, a 3rd and 14 after back-to-back tackles for a loss. Well, a sack involved in that. And one of the previous plays, we did have Marcus Martin in there. I thought I saw a 44 in there, and he was in on a half tackle. So far today, Marcus has 2.5 tackles for a loss. Here's the snap. It's a quick one, and a screen play to the outside, and it's caught by Demetrius Anderson, who's not going to get back to the original line of scrimmage. He stopped at the 30. It'll be a gain. They'll mark it inside the 30 to the 29. It'll be a gain of 2. I'm sure at this point they're going to go for it here on 4th down.
Yeah, and I think that play was designed to cut into some yardage, hoping to get 5-6 yards and make it a 4th down and manageable. Not the case. The Rock able to get all over the screenplay, and they were able to get through that first line. I believe Mason Dehart was in on the action. Nice response from the Rock.
So now 1 of 3, or check that, 2 of 3 on the day is Campbell. Now he's going to throw a cross-field long, and it's caught at the 1st down marker and brought in on a great play by Kentucky State. Picked up by number 11, Court Grodhouse out of California. And it's a 1st down. They move the markers.
Yeah, that throw is pretty amazing. To throw across the field, pressure in his face, and that's the one spot you could put it. Sometimes you tip your cap to Paul Campbell because even the coverage was not that bad. He had to throw it into one area. The strong arm from Campbell was able to do that. That's a heck of a play.
He got the 1st down yardage, 13-yard gain, and it's 1st down, Kentucky State at the 16-yard line. Very strong arm on Campbell. He's going to hand it off this time, and that's Brett Stile in the backfield. He's got running room, and he's in for the touchdown. 16-yard scamper for Brett Stile, and we've been mentioning his name a lot today. He's had a couple of big plays.
Hold on here,
we've got
Bob.
A flag on the field.
We've got some laundry. This one may be coming back. We may have a hold here.
Well, the officials gather to discuss, and it looks like it is coming back. So no touchdown. And it was a hold on the run, so Stile may have had a little help getting to the end zone. He was bunched up early, but kept the feet going, and then next thing you know, he was off to the races. So that is the 3rd penalty of the day already against Kentucky State, and it'll move them back out across the 15 to the 16-yard line as a result of that penalty that negates the touchdown.
Yeah, that's one I'm sure it's not going to be too happy with John L. Smith. You actually were able to get a nice series of blocking up front. That holding flag came pretty much after Sylvie had his way into the end zone. So a bad mistake there by one of the Thoroughbreds.
Now we've got a whistle here as they're going to discuss things. Maybe is this the spot? Side judge coming over and wanting to discuss things. 7-0 Slippery Rock, 4:44 mark of the first quarter of our first game of the year. Now they're going to reset the clock here. And they're going to add time to the game clock here. That's what the discussion is. And so we're still in the 4 o'clock hour of the opening quarter. 4:55 instead of 4:44. Now Campbell with the sidecar of Lavelle Cloyd to his left in the shotgun. We got double receivers split near side, and it will be play action. Campbell dumps it off, has his man again, and that's Demetrius Anderson. He's immediately swarmed under by 2 Rock defenders and dropped at the 15, and that'll be a gain of 1.
Yeah, he was left out there to dry. There was really no one else around Anderson except for 3 white jerseys, and they were able to swallow him up rather quickly. Normally on a screen play like that, there should be a safety valve to help with some blocking. That was not the case. They were able to pick up 1, but Anderson, I'm sure not feeling too great after having 3 guys tackle him right when he turned around.
Good pursuit, good response by the Rock defense under the direction of coordinator Dom Rosano. It'll be 2nd and 9. A little bit of a jump again as the hard count provided by Kentucky State's quarterback, Campbell. Now here's a screen out to the outside, and it's again number 10, Demetrius Anderson. He pulls it in at about the 13-yard line, but is dropped. And it will be 3rd down.
We are seeing nice pursuit from the Rock defenders. Right there you had Kyle Hall working one-on-one for the most part and was able to close that gap and bring him down. That had the potential for being a longer play. Could have went for a 1st down, but give credit to Kyle Hall for getting in there and closing the situation.
Set up a 3rd and 5 now. They marked it officially at the 12-yard line. So it was a gain of 3. 3:30 mark of the opening quarter now. In the shotgun is Campbell. And he drops back, looks downfield. Here comes the pressure, and he's going to be dropped in the backfield for another sack. And it again is for the Rock. Timmy Vernick coming in for his first sack of his career.
Rock sends 6 on that one. Tim Vernick comes right in between the guard and tackle. No one decided to pick him up. He had a clean shot at Campbell, and I think he was thinking payback. Campbell ran him over earlier on this drive, and Tim Vernick saw that number 4, and he was ready to line him up. That was a nice hard hit by Tim Vernick, and a big one because this is going to make this field goal attempt a little bit longer.
An 8-yard loss. It'll move the ball back to the 20, so now this will become a 37-yard field goal attempt. Cowell is ready, and here comes the boot, and it's tipped at the line and blocked. And the Rock going to pick it up at the goal line. Brought backward at about the 2-yard line. I think that was that Kyle Hall that picked it up. Probably should have let it go. It might have rolled into the end zone, but nonetheless, the Rock blocks the field goal attempt. And going to get the ball back inside the 5. They actually will say he was out at the 4-yard line.
Yeah, I think they're going to give him forward progress. But you're going to have to help me on this one. If it gets blocked, is it free game or I can't imagine. Like, if let's say he lets that go, is it down where it's at, or does it come back out to the 25-yard line? Does it go into the end zone? See, these are the rules I need to brush myself up on.
Well, I guess the real question to me would be, did it touch the goal line? And apparently it was picked up right at it. So here's a quick handoff, and this is Chuck Berry, and he crosses the 10-yard line out to the 11. Nice carry of 7 yards for Berry.
Yeah, that one, nice work up front. He was able to explode through, really untouched for the front 4, and then found his way into the linebacking court, but was able to get a good push and a nice first down carry. But we do have some officials discussing something after the play. Don't see any laundry on the field.
There is some discussion. Carnell Harley into the game. He's going to be on the near side, and they're going to come over and talk to Coach John L. Smith here.
The gain is for 7 yards.
Or no, he did have a flag.
It might be a sideline infraction the way they're discussing things.
Oh. Need a better get back, coach.
So, move it forward, and here we go. And here's a keeper now for Gary, and it goes nowhere. And I don't know if that was a busted play or what, but it didn't play out well for the Rock as a sack of Gary, and drops him back to the 9-yard line. Chris Crawley in
and
the backfield.
He came in untouched. There was no one there. And Gary decided to keep it himself. And again, when you haven't played in live action, 4-quarter football, and you're playing in a read option offense, it's going to take some time to make those decision-making processes easier.
3rd and 6 now, and here's a pass to the outside, pulled in by Millie Ray at the 15-yard line, and it's going to go for a first down. What a sideways grab that was by Millie Ray.
I believe it was a one-handed catch before he pulled it into his body. Heck of a play.
High snap now a quick handoff. Barry's got running room. He's up through the pile for another first down. Across the 25, out to the 28-yard line, and that will be a gain of 11.
And we talk about this veteran offensive line, these big guys up front. They cleared a huge space for Barry to run. He was able to take advantage of it in a big play.
Quick snap again, and they got the tempo offense going. Gary throws it short. It's scooped up off the ground by Marcus Johnson. That'll be incomplete. Tried to go quick and just didn't strong-arm that one quite enough.
Yeah, it didn't seem like a clean release from Gary. He was a little bit off balance on the throw. The offensive line did pick up the pressure, so he had time, but Johnson working one-on-one coverage. Gary's release just a little bit low. Things were just a little bit off.
So he's had 2 incompletions now to go with 1. He's 1 for 3 on the day. Now here's a option play, a pitch to the outside, and that's going to be Isaiah Neely in the backfield, and he goes nowhere, and a little roughhousing at the end of the play there after the shirt grab, but it's going to go for a loss back to the 26-yard line, and that'll be a loss of 2.
Yeah, and when you run those toss plays, you are running the risk of, this time it was the inside linebacker, Philip Francis, working one-on-one against Neely. He took the right angle. He was able to cut them off, so they just weren't able to get the blocking explosion right off the ball. That left a linebacker working one-on-one against Neely. Linebacker won that one.
We've been really working this left side of the field a lot. It's really getting chewed up. 3rd and 13 now for the Rock. Gary drops back, pumps. Now he heaves one downfield, has a man breaking, and it's just over his head. He was trying to get that to Carnell Harley, the big 6'6" receiver, and he missed him by about 3 yards.
Yeah, and Harley had him beat. They had one-on-one coverage on the outside where they wanted to. And sometimes it's a timing pattern thing. And again, we talk about the conditions. Let's say Harley loses a step here or there in that route running process. So Gary thinks he's going to be at point A when he's actually at point B. And then that's where you have the miscommunication. Again, nice arm from Gary, just a little bit too far. First game type things that we'll see throughout this whole game, and I think that's just one of them right there.
So back deep for Kentucky State at about his 32 will be Brett Stile. Jake Chapla takes the snap. It's a good one. Here comes the punt, and it's almost blocked. He almost did not get that away, and I don't know if a hand got on that, but here comes Stile, grabs it at his 39 and leapfrogs up over the 40 to about the 43-yard line, and that was a dangerous moment for the Rock.
Why'd they blow that dead? I think the official thought it was a fair catch, and I have no idea why. I don't know, but either way, the Rock actually save about 4 or 5 yards, so they waved off the return. So yeah, they did call fair catch.
Okay, called fair catch, and so it moves it back to the 38-yard line, 37-yard line, actually. It'll be 1st and 10. Kentucky State, the Rock leading here with 22 seconds remaining in the opening quarter, 7-0. And the Thoroughbreds come back onto the field, led by quarterback Paul Campbell. Mentioned he's a transfer in from Iowa Central. He's out of Birmingham, Alabama. Big quarterback, 6'3", 230-pounder. That's a sizable quarterback.
They make him big down here.
1st and 10, man in motion for the Thoroughbreds. He's number 11, Court Grotehouse. And they're going to play action to the opposite side of where the motion was. Campbell looking. He wants to go long downfield. Has a man breaking. And he, I don't know, cut the root off. Demetrius Anderson kind of, I don't know if he got banged up in between some Rock defenders, but the nearest guy was a Rock defender, Kyle Hall.
You'd probably throw it, what would you say, about 10 yards shy of where the receiver was. He did have a guy, and they had him beat. Jordan Level was the man. But, boy, he was by the 10-yard line. Campbell had to throw that from the 35. So he really tried to uncork it. I just don't know if you have that arm strength to make that throw.
Well, and you just wonder, too, where they were running into that part of the field we just talked about. Did he get kind of caught up in a messy field? Now here's a handoff, and it's going to be the running back, Lavelle Cloyd, and he doesn't get anywhere. In fact, he's going to be dropped back at the 30-yard line, or they're going to mark it at the 32. That'll be a loss of about 4.
Yeah, that's Zach Bader who was in on the tackle. This is a guy that wasn't supposed to start today. Trey Blanford was supposed to be getting the starting job. However, he rolled his ankle. Again, we talked about these field conditions in the pregame. Bader has to be the guy to step up, and he did it right there. We've seen him work his way through the offensive line. He's won that matchup a few times. A few times he overcommits, but that time he guessed right, and he was able to bring him down for a loss.
So that loss is going to be the last play of the first quarter. Clock is spun dry, and we'll go to the second quarter when we come back after this break. 7-0, the Rock leading the Kentucky State Thoroughbreds. You're listening to it on the Rock Station, 97.7, as well as 977rocks.com and at rockathletics.com. Okay.
Or 14-pound bag of Songbird birdseed. Both are filled with a variety of nutritional ingredients that backyard birds and songbirds love. Get this bargain of the month while supplies last. Slippery Rock True Value. Behind every project is a true value.
Butler Health System's Faster Care locations offer flu shots and urgent care treatments for minor illnesses, injuries, sprains, and more. Located at Butler Commons in Butler, Franklin Village Mall in Katanning, Malone Road in Sarver, and Innovation Drive in Slippery Rock. VHS Faster Care offers walk-in physicals for school, sports, work, and more. Faster Care, caring at the speed of your life. Visit vhsfastercare.org.
10 seconds.
Accepted, including UPMC and Highmark.
Rock football on the station that rocks. The Rock Station, 97.7.
And we're back here at Alumni Stadium Ready for second quarter action. It'll be a 3rd and 14 for Kentucky State. And in motion is Grotehouse once again, and here's Campbell looking his way. And he's going to dump it off to him, but he's going to be hit shy and drop backward. And coming in on the tackle for the Rock.
Gain of 2 yards.
Brian
Dave
McNally, I
And
believe.
12.
Hey, he's listed as a tight end. We got a little bit of confusion on the numbers.
No,
Who do we have?
Davon Franklin came
Okay.
in on that. Number 36. Looks like 5, but it's actually 6.
That's what I like, though. We got mud on the jerseys, Bob. This is real football.
And I'm calling Brett
Marcus
Style.
Johnson back
That should be
to
Brett
receive for
Silva.
Slippery Rock.
We've got two different spellings on here. So I've checked 2 other sources, and it is Brett Silva. So we'll get his name right.
That's what a good broadcaster does. He checks all of his sources.
Well, it's the first game of the year. We're figuring numbers and names. Here's a punt, and it's going to be a rollout. Pooch, and a good one. It's going to work out real well for Kentucky State. Take a bounce at about the 34, down across the 30 to the 29. So obviously they don't want to see the return of Marcus Johnson making his debut back there this year.
Rock 29. 1st and 10.
So the Rock going to take over here on their own 29, 1st and 10. Just opening the second quarter here at Alumni Field with the Rock leading 7-0.
Again, remember, this could be a tie ball game. Big holding call on the last possession. Pulled that back. The Rock were actually 2 possessions ago. Rock were able then to block the field goal for it. And so turns out to be a big-time mistake from Kentucky State. I mean, we figured it at the time, but a huge one as they came away with absolutely no points on the board in the first quarter.
Let's get some noise for good old Oscar.
So nice crowd on hand here today, making the trip down of about 6.25 hours. Many Rock fans. Here's a little pass across the middle by Tanner Gary, and he hits Millie Ray for completion of about 8 yards out toward the 40 to the 38.
Millie Ray, just a great slot receiver, and you like to see the timing that Tanner Gary is finding with his wide receivers. That's all really inside passing routes are. Can you time up? Can you throw with accuracy? They've been able to do that, and we're going to get a false start here.
Yeah, Chakar Berry would have taken the handoff, but they blew it dead with the yellow hankies coming off. And they get one of the Rock linemen, Ian Park, the newcomer, transfer in from Northwestern. Already has a degree from Northwestern, and here at Slippery Rock University to play his final year of eligibility.
Already 10 steps ahead of me. Northwestern University degree, that's pretty good.
2nd and 7 now. So Blues 5 yards on the play. Here's Tanner Gary, throws it across to Millie Ray, and he's got first down yardage down the sideline, goes out of bounds near the 50, and they're going to say he stepped out at the 48 or 49-yard line. Looks like the 49.
And you can tell this is why they like Tanner Gary. They're going to run a hurry-up offense, but again, these timing pattern routes, he's been spot on so far.
And actually now a quick handoff, and grabbing it is Barry, and he's going to be ripped backward at the 45-yard line and dropped.
Yeah, Philip Francis coming in on the tackle. We really haven't seen the run game get going, Bob, outside of some inside runs on first down, which is a big staple of this Slippery Rock offense. They have not been able to get anywhere with the ground game.
Loss of 3 on the play. It'll set up a 2nd and long, 2nd and 12 now. And it's play action. Throw across the middle, Marcus Johnson. He's got the yardage back for a first down. Brought down hard inside the 40 to the 35-yard line.
Great route running by Marcus Johnson and another brilliant pass from Tanner Gary. You had 4 green jerseys surrounding that pass. Gary was able to thread that needle. Johnson was able to find the area, and they were able to hook up again on those timing pattern routes across the middle that we've seen Gary be very, very solid on so far.
Marcus Johnson already showing some impressive moves. Here's now a handoff inside. This one's going to go for a short yard gain. Maybe not even a full yard, but they do push the ball across the 35 after the 20-yard pass play. It'll be 2nd and 9.
The linebackers are really the ones that aren't being accounted for in the run game here. The Rock front 5, they're able to handle the guys that they're going against. And it's a 3-4 look from Kentucky State. So the Rock is able to handle the front. It's really the outside linebackers that are finding their way in and attacking the run game.
Got trip receivers to the near side, and it's going to be play action to that side. Mike Marhat takes an en route, and the ball just a pinch high. He probably should have brought it down, but I have a feeling there were some footsteps being heard right there. Matthew Bazana from Kentucky State was right on him.
Yeah, 5'9" frame from Mike Marhat. He's not the biggest wide receiver, and so Tanner Gary just left that one up. You're probably right. He could have got hands on it, maybe pulled it down. Good coverage, just a tad high.
Had a strong arm throw, too.
It really was.
Yep, 3rd and 9 now. Rock in Kentucky State territory.
I think this is 2-down territory, by the way.
Here's the snap. Gary drops back, has time, looks downfield, throws. Man breaks, and he led him just a bit too far. The pass intended for Marcus Johnson, and it'll be 4th down.
Give the Rock front 5 credit. They were able to pick up a 6-man blitz. Barry was able to be in there for some extra protection. And again, that's a long throw across the field. It may only register as 15 yards in the book, but he's got to throw quite a bit, and just wasn't able to hook up with Johnson.
4th and 9 at the 34. They've got to get to the 25. Tanner Gary looking to the sideline. Looks for the play being shuttled in. Justin Roper, the second-year offensive coordinator. Here's the snap. Gary drops back, throws across the middle. Marcus Johnson has the first down, breaks a tackle, and has room to run across the 15, down to the 10, pulled down inside the 5 at the 2-yard line. Great work by Marcus Johnson. And not only the first down, but it sets up a 1st and goal.
Yeah, Kentucky State sold out on the blitz. This time they brought 7, and again, the front 5 of the Rock were able to hold up and give Tanner Gary a pretty clean pocket. Working one-on-one coverage on the left was Marcus Johnson. They were able to hook up. Again, another nice route run by Johnson. Gary able to throw the ball on target. He makes a guy miss, and now they're set up in pretty good shape.
32-yard gain. Here comes a flag as the ball is
And
handed off in a fumble. But this is apparently going to be
We'll see
a
what
penalty
happens.
play anyway. Let's see what it wasn't a pre-snap. They didn't snap it.
Gary did fall on the football.
Okay. And let's see what it is here. Hankey thrown from the near sideline.
Probably a motion penalty.
And Chris Roberts, number 99. Illegal formation.
It was an illegal formation by the Rock. And as a result of the fumble, the Rock going to lose yardage back across the 5 to the 7-yard line. So they'll lay a loss of 5.
And again, though, another problem with the run. We just haven't seen the Rock be able to establish this. And you can throw the ball all you want. And a lot of people, again, do think with the air raid offense, it's just throw the ball, throw the ball, throw the ball. You have to establish the run. That way you get the one-on-one coverage on the outside that you're looking for.
Put it back to the 6, and it's 2nd and goal. And now here's a throw inside, and it's caught by the tight end, Brian McNally, for the touchdown. 6-yard throw. Very nice route run by McNally, and a perfect spot-on pass by Tanner Gary.
And that's a read option play there. There was a chance if he wanted to hand the ball off. Gary decides to tuck. They have McNally sneak out wide open in the end zone. Gary with another spot-on pass, facing a little bit of pressure on the run. He was able to throw it right into the hands of McNally. And as you say, Bob, the Rock find pay dirt.
And now the extra point try to make it 14-0 out of the hole to Mike Marhat. Again, Jim Popa doing the snapping duties today. And here it is. And it's up and good. And it's a 14-0 lead. And it goes into the trees behind the field. 14-0, 11:02 mark. And hold on, we've got a flag on the field.
This may have been some extracurricular activity.
And we'll see if it's put on the kickoff. When we return, we'll take a 30-second timeout with the Rock now leading 14-0 here on 97.7 FM. Back in Frankfort, Kentucky. Alumni Stadium, Bob Cup, Tyler Friel with you on Rock Football. Here this afternoon, the Rock leading 14-0 now. 2 touchdown passes from Tanner Gary, the new Rock quarterback. One to Brian McNally, the other to Marcus Johnson. One in each of the opening quarters. And the Rock defense has come up big so far after a couple of solid drives by Kentucky State. But been able to keep them off the board so far here this afternoon.
Yeah, the Rock are coming up at big times defensively. We saw the big turnover early in the game, thanks in part, forget who had the hit, but Mason Dehart was the one that came up with the fumble. And then just opportune times for the Rock defense to show up, and got a big break a few drives ago in the first quarter when a touchdown from Kentucky State got called back due to a holding penalty, and Kentucky State is still held scoreless.
Tanner Gary so far, 7 of 13, 2 touchdowns, 95 yards. His leading receiver, no surprise, Marcus Johnson, 3 catches for 54 yards and 1 touchdown.
Going to get a legal procedure here as Chappell's kick went out of bounds.
Yeah, that didn't make it downfield much at all. I don't know what they were trying to keep it away from Silva with that thought process, because he's been showing some solid abilities on the return, but it went out of bounds about the 18-yard line.
I honestly think he just has a ton of concerns about his footing. You know, is he going to be able to establish that plant foot on this surface? And we even saw a pooch kick from him earlier on a extra point attempt, and I think it was the same thing. He just wants to be sure he can get that plan in. And when you're going with a 5 to 10 yard run up in kickoff, and where you kick off at is as sloppy as it is right now, I think those are just some concerns that he's going to have. They bring this out to the 50?
Shouldn't it be the 35?
It'll be 1st and 10, Kentucky State.
I've never seen that. I've never seen. Oh, we had the penalty on the extra point.
That's right. Okay. Yeah.
I thought they changed the rules.
Yeah, go back. We didn't, after the commercial break, we forgot to tell you that Slippery Rock was penalized for unsportsmanlike conduct after the extra point. So 15 yards tacked on from the 35 to the 50, and that's where Kentucky State will start out. Paul Campbell directing his offense. He's 7 of 9 for 50 yards, but the Rock has held the running game to just 3 yards, and it's going to be Silva in the backfield, and he punches it across the 50 to the opposite side to the 49, a gain of 1, so that's one of the bigger carries they've had all day.
The Rock Red run all the way, too, and so it was just a power of will for Silva to get up into and get a yard out of it, because there were a ton of white jerseys involved in the mix.
So it'll be 2nd and 9 for Kentucky State, trailing here 14-0. Getting a little bit darker right now. Almost feels like a little bit of rain maybe moving in toward our area. Here's Campbell with the snap. And he's going to go play action keep. And he runs around a Rock defender and has a nice keep for a first down. Across the 40 to the 39-yard line. It'll pick up 11. And he's shown that dangerous ability, and he's got that size as well. That's his 6th carry of the day.
Yeah, really not a bad play by Dylan Whitman. He came in and was making Paul Campbell choose. Either you pitch it or you run it inside. So it's not necessarily Whiteman's job to lay a hit on Campbell there, but force him to make a move. That's what he did. And unfortunately, there were no other Rock defenders there to step in the way of Campbell, and he was able to get a decent gain out of it.
Campbell showing some smart decision-making so far here today. And into Rock territory now. They put a man in motion. That's Grotehouse again. And they're going to hand it off, and snowed under. Silva in the backfield. Going to be a tackle for a loss again by Marcus Martin. That'll make it 3.5 on the day. Back across the 40 to the 41.
Again, just will to get through the line. That's a talented individual there. He's able to outmaneuver the offensive lineman, work his way despite still being probably held on the play, I think you could argue. He was able to work through it and bring him down for a loss.
And it'll move it back to the 42-yard line. Make it a 2nd and long. Campbell going to shuffle it out to the outside, and Silva's hit in the backfield again. Almost lost that ball. Right on the play was Dylan Whiteman again, and another tackle for a loss for the Rock, 3rd down.
And again, this is something that Marcus Martin's not going to get credit for in the stat book, but he was there, and this is what you want. With that option play, Marcus Martin was able to stop Campbell right in his tracks and force him to make that pitch. So even though he didn't make any contact or make a tackle, he was out there to force that pitch, and then that's when Whiteman was there. Because when you run a 4-3, your outside linebackers have to be there on that coverage. He was there, and that's just a perfectly executed defensive play.
And it's going to set up a 3rd and even longer. Here comes Martin to the outside. He hits Campbell late, and he gets rid of it. And he's got the first down.
Yeah, the Rock only bringing 4 there. Marcus Martin just a little bit late to the game. Paul Campbell, give him credit. Pocket presence, was able to step up and deliver a strike.
And that's about the 3rd big first down that he's picked up. And it's Demetrius Anderson on the reception. First down to the 25-yard line.
Yeah, they've had some big third down plays. Rock have had them in a lot of third down and long situations. Paul Campbell's been able to save them a few times.
Actually make it the 27, a 16-yard grab. In motion goes Anderson. Campbell in the shotgun. And he's going to go play action, running near side. And he's looking, he points, he runs, now he throws, and that's pulled in, but this may be downfield too far.
Yeah.
Grodhouse receives it, but he was across the line of scrimmage, I do believe.
Yeah, that flag's thrown right about the 25-yard line. The line of scrimmage is probably the 28. So he was, I would say, a good 3 yards past it. And actually, if he would have tucked it and run, he could have been close to a first down. He had a lot of grass in front of him.
Well, he was trying to motion his receiver downfield, and I just think his intent was, I'm going to throw this ball no matter what. If he keeps it, he probably picks up 5 or 6.
Which on a first down, run out of bounds, save yourself the contact. That's a really nice first down play.
7:55 mark of the second quarter. The Rock up by 2 scores here, 14-0. But now it'll be a first and a little longer.
And a long discussion.
I think they're trying to determine exactly where. I mean, it should be just a simple penalty backward, but they've gone over to discuss things with Sean Lutz here.
Yeah.
And they're going to take the penalty.
I would.
Because they're going to move
I
him
don't
back.
know what the other option was. It was a completed pass, I believe.
Yeah. It's a loss of down, too. Double penalty, so they're deciding which one to take. So they had an illegal man downfield as a result of the play development. And I'm sure, it's no fault against the lineman, Marcus Campbell Jr. He was down there blocking because he thought his quarterback was going to run.
And again, so now it would have even proved to be more useful for Paul Campbell to have just taken off on the play.
So you lose the down no matter what, and it moves it back to make it a 2nd and 15 to the 30-yard line.
In some very sloppy spots right here. We talked about guys being inside the trenches. This is almost mud sitting at the 30-yard line.
It will be Silva still in the backfield. They have taken out Lavelle Cloyd for this series. Low snap, and Campbell has nowhere to go but backward and down to the turf. He's brought down by a host of white shirts.
Well, talking about winning the battle on the inside, it was like Kentucky State decided not to move. Maybe there was some miscommunication there because 3 Rock defenders just fled right into the backfield, and Campbell had nowhere to go. He turns around and sees a bunch of white jerseys coming after him.
And Zach Bader was in on that again. He's already had a sack today. He's going to get at least a half sack there. I think there was some extra help. So now it is 3rd and forever. They've got to get inside the 20, and they're almost at the 40-yard line here on 3rd down. Campbell takes the snap, drops back, looks to throw. Here comes pressure again. He's got to scramble. He's running to the outside, has some running room, but is going to be forced out of bounds, well short of even the original line of scrimmage. He'll go right inside the 30 to the 29-yard line, a pickup of 10.
Late
and
flag.
we have a late flag here on the play.
It was on the run. Not sure if we're going to get a hold, or have a hard time to believe this is against Slippery Rock.
The officials have been active in this opening half. It is a hold on the defense. So Slippery Rocks, Kadir Roberts gets called on that one. And it's actually going to move the ball forward. 5 still short of the first down, but now it makes that 10-yard grab of yardage by Campbell. A little more impressive because now it makes it a 3rd and about 2.
In 2-down territory.
A long 2 or a long 1 or a short 2, however you want to see it. And a quick snap and a handoff inside and no gain. And he may even lost yardage.
Boy, that was read real quick by Tristan McDonald. He came out, one of the outside linebackers, was able to read run immediately. And that's a big tackle for a loss right there because, like you said, we were looking about probably 3rd and 2 would be arguable. And that's going to be another loss of 2. So now it's a 4th down and 4 situation.
And you mentioned Tristan McDonald, one of those freshmen we've been talking about. He's out of Camp Hill, Pennsylvania. True freshman linebacker. And you've got to say, the linebacking corps so far today has shown some impressive, they don't look like freshmen, put it that way. So 4th and 4 right now, and here's the go for it, and it's a snap, dropped, picked up by Silva. He tries to hand it back to his quarterback and gets it, and all that did was lose more yardage. It's going to be a turnover on downs as the Rock is there. That was bizarre as Campbell lost the ball. His running back, Silva, picked it up and handed it back to his quarterback, and meanwhile, the white shirts are already on him.
Yeah, sometimes you shoot yourself in the foot, and that's exactly what Kentucky State did on that drive. They were given a big break by Slippery Rock. They were set up with a 3rd down and 2. They lost 2 yards, and then they weren't able to get a successful snap off on a 4th down and 4. So we've talked about first game situations where players are still trying to find their footing. Kentucky State has really had some bad mistakes because they've had some nice plays. The bad mistakes have really outshined the good plays that they've had.
So the Rock, 1st and 10, play action. Tanner Gary wants to go long, has a man break inside, and it's Millie Ray, and he's caught the ball for a 1st down, forced out of bounds across the 45 to the 47-yard line.
I think his first look on that was Marcus Johnson, who was going on a deep route. He was double covered. Millie Ray, the slot receiver to his right, came across the field. Gary, again, timing patterns, was able to connect. Big-time play.
21 yards. Handoff now, Barry. Goes inside, pushes the pile across the 50 to the 49. A gain of 4.
Actually, check that make it Isaiah Neely. And that's what you want to see on the 1st down carries. A burst of 3, a burst of 4. That gets you into a situation where you can expand the playbook a little bit. You can go back to the run, or you've got some options with the pass.
Isaiah Neely, number 25 in the backfield now. High snap, pulled down. Neely trips and goes forward, kept his footing enough to scramble the feet forward. And out to the 47-yard line, it'll be a gain of 2 when it could have been a gain of 0.
Yeah, again, give credit to Neely, the extra effort there to get some positive yards. Gives you a 3rd down and manageable.
And quick movement here by the Rock offense. Trip receivers up top. Kentucky State showing some pressure, so now Tanner Gary backs off, looks to the sideline. Does the check with me. And a 3rd and 5 will now move Neely to the far side of Gary in the shotgun. Here comes the pressure. He drops back, throws downfield, looking for Marcus Johnson, waits for it, pulls it in, keeps his feet, and he's going to go for a touchdown. His 2nd one of the day. An incredible job by Marcus Johnson. 46-yard touchdown. What an effort by number 9.
Yeah, not the best pass from Tanner Gary, and we talked about this in the pregame show, and Sean Lutz believes that they have and trust Marcus Johnson to go up and grab a jump ball, and that's exactly what it was. Underthrown from Tanner Gary, but one-on-one coverage on the sideline. Marcus Johnson was able to come back, somehow kept both feet inbounds, was able to make the tackler miss, and then had a free look at the end zone. So nice play by Marcus Johnson to make up for a small mistake by Tanner Gary.
And he did a great job just having the wherewithal, knowing where the sideline was, kept his feet, tapped both, and was untouched, was able to avoid a tackle and take it in for the score. Here's the extra point try, and this one's going to go through the inside of the left upright. But there is a flag on the play.
Offsides, I believe, but this one should be declined.
Yep. Encroachment, and the kick is good. 21-0, 2 touchdowns today for Marcus Johnson, 3 on the day for quarterback Tanner Gary, and the Rock has taken a 21-0 lead, and will return for the kickoff in 30 seconds from now. You're listening to Rock Football right here on The Rock Station, 97.7.
From around the country. Clemson 28, Kent State 3, Penn State 38, Akron nothing, Maryland 30, Texas 20, Illinois 16, Ball State 7, Iowa 21, Wyoming 3, Michigan State 35.
Coach Lutz has to be happy with the start of the progression so far. It's not been pretty at times, but it's been effective. 21-0 is the score. Tanner Gary with 3 touchdown passes, 2 of those to Marcus Johnson. The most recent was a 46-yard grab.
I think what has been most impressive about Tanner Gary so far, and to me this is a big part of Slippery Rock's offense, are those timing pattern routes across the middle where he has been able to throw on-target passes to Millie Ray, and to me that cannot be understated.
Here's the kickoff, and Silva grabs it at the 6. takes a shot upfield, and he's going to take a shot out of bounds. And they may call this late, which is probably going to be very, very borderline because he was right at the sideline and was going upfield when he was hit. But we have a flag on the field. Let's see what it is.
An illegal block in the back.
Maybe it is. He got it to the 20-yard line, but let's see. Now they're going to be marching it backward here.
Blocking it back, number 27. Penalty being enforced, half the distance to the goal, first down.
Wow. So that is penalty number 5 on Kentucky State. We've had 9 called here in the first half already.
And they've been major ones. You take a look at the holding play on the touchdown carry. That got called back. You take a look at the penalty on Paul Campbell's. Well, there was 2 illegal man downfield. And then also you had the illegal forward pass. And then you've got this one here. You were looking about the 20-yard line as a starting point. Not too bad. Now you're inside your own 10.
At the 7 is where they, well, nope, they have 7 on the scoreboard, but the ball is at the 9-yard line. First and 10, Kentucky State. Paul Campbell in the shotgun. And he takes the snap and throws it across the middle, has a man, and it's caught by Anderson for a first down out to the 24-yard line.
That's a heck of a pass by Paul Campbell. He had Bader in his face, waving his arms around, and give credit to the offensive line for holding Bader up. But he was able to stand in there, step up in the pocket, and deliver a strike across the middle. Again, those timing patterns, which to me are essential in that air raid offense.
15-yard grab by Anderson from Campbell. And he goes shotgun again, and he'll put Grotehouse in motion, and it's going to be a handoff end around to Grotehouse, and he tries to stretch the field. He's spun around and knocked out of bounds, and that one's going to go for no gain. Great work by Kyle Hall, tracing that one down.
What the secondary has done well today is really their closing speed. And we've seen this from Kyle Hall a few times where when he's working one-on-one with somebody, he's able to get there quicker than they are, causes that angle to be cut off, and he's able to make the tackle.
No gain, second and 10. 3:54 mark at the second quarter. Rock up 21-0. Thoroughbreds have been able to move the ball today, especially through the air. But some self-inflicted wounds and some great run defense by the Rock and opportunistic plays by the Rock defense has kept Kentucky State off the board. Here's a long time to throw the ball, and it's a pass play out across the middle to Jonathan Powell. And he's going to pick up positive yardage to the 29-yard line. That'll be a gain of 5.
Give Paul Campbell credit to stay in that pocket because number 44 was coming right at him, and he laid a hit on Paul Campbell. So, I mean, the big guy with the big frame, 6'3", 230, we've been talking about this all day. I don't think he's afraid to take a hit, but sometimes when you're sitting there and that other guy's got a full speed ahead look at you, it takes a lot of courage to make a throw.
Campbell, 9 of 11. Passing so far today for 81 yards. Has been sacked twice, so a 3rd and 5 here. Here's the snap. Throw across, caught for the first down. Right at the first down marker is Court Grotehouse, and it looks like they're going to be able to give him the first down.
Yeah, he's going to get forward progress. He was brought down just shy of the first down marker, but forward progress, the right call. That's knowing your markers, that knowing where to catch the ball. Those are the small things that wide receivers need to do to help the team, and that's exactly what happened there.
You can make that 8 first downs now for Kentucky State. So as you can hear, they are moving the ball. First and 10, 34-yard line of their own. Grotehouse goes in motion. And it's play action. Looking downfield, he wants to throw it big. Has a man breaking, but he overthrew him. There was a little bit of contact in the secondary as Grotehouse Demetrius Anderson tried to separate himself, and it was just enough, but we do have a flag back here anyway, just enough to get that ball overthrown, but there was holding. It would have been all for naught. That was about a yard from being completed, but fortunately there was some shenanigans happening in the backfield.
I'm fairly certain it was Tristan McDonald who was coming off the left edge where he was picked up by Sylvie. And right there, Sylvie had to get his arms around McDonald just to stop him from getting a look at Campbell. So give McDonald credit. A little bit of speed coming off the edge, forced an error from Kentucky State.
And it'll be a 1st and 20 as they move the ball all the way back to the 24. And again, you talked about those penalties against Kentucky State. They've been critical. Self-inflicted wounds. Campbell, play action. Looks downfield, has pressure coming, throws it high and almost picked off by the Rock. Playing kind of left field, if you're, I guess you could say right field, wherever you want to sit yourself. But Kadir Roberts was there, and that one just floated over his hands.
Yeah, an errant pass from Paul Campbell, not a good decision. That's one that you're better off just throwing away. You really didn't have a look there, and he threw into coverage where he should not have thrown into. He got lucky that there weren't any Rock defenders where that ball landed, because that could have been an easy interception.
He was getting pressure coming in on him. He just kind of threw that one up for grabs. 2nd and 20. 2:10 mark of the second quarter. Put a man in motion again. Coming to the near side is Jalen Johnson, and they're going to throw his way. He comes back for it, pulls it in, does a nice job evading a tackle, but only gets it across the 25 to the 26, a gain of 2.
Yeah, design screenplay so the offensive line leaks out to try to build a wall in front of the receiver. But again, the closing speed by the Rock were able to be there in time, corral him, bring him down. Very short gain.
Be a 3rd and 16 now as the clock turns. We'll have a little profile on Marcus Martin coming up at halftime, the Rock record setter, Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference record setter, and let's hope that we're talking about a national record setter by the end of the year. He's off to a good start today, already with 3.5+ tackles for a loss. 3rd and 16, big play here, and it's play action. Campbell throws it to the outside to Anderson, who slips at the 31 and is immediately dropped by the Rock defense, and coming in on the play was Davon Franklin to be there to put him down to the turf, and it'll be a 4th down.
And it looks like the Rock are going to take a timeout.
Yeah, minute 21 left. They are going to take a timeout here and kind of set the stage, hold on to the clock, because, hey, you get a nice return here. You could set yourself up to add to the score, leading 21 to nothing. So take a short timeout and
Sean
just hold
Lutz's a
on to
little
that
salty.
clock.
He's not happy with something. He's giving the officials an earful right now.
He's on the field giving it to 2, and they're just kind of listening and venting some frustration. His coach Lutz. And the officials took it and listened to him. They gave him an ear. So 21-0 here.
I think the coaches may have lost their microphones. I don't know if they're being able to communicate with the guys down on the field. I don't know. We're speculating. We're right beside the coaches' booth here, and seemed to be a little bit of a panic looked on one of their faces, and I don't think it was because of a call.
Well, it looked like it was going to start to rain here, but it's held off. It's not rained at all here during the game, which is good. Just overcast. Here's the punt with Marcus Johnson back deep. And here comes the kick, and it's going to come his way. He's going to have to call for a fair catch right at the 35. And that's where the Rock will start out, 1st and 10, and they'll have about a minute 14 to play with on the clock.
You got one timeout in your pocket. You've got an offense that has shown the ability, obviously, to get down the field rather quickly. And you've got a deep ball threat with Marcus Johnson. We saw it on the last drive. Tanner Gary underthrowing that pass, which did go for a touchdown. But when you've got a long ball guy like that as a wide receiver, you're hoping to get one-on-one coverage on the outside and let one fly.
See what the tempo offense does here with a minute 14 to play with under the direction of Tanner Gary. And really the first opportunity we've seen with this kind of pressure situation. We've seen them go up tempo when things were clicking. Let's see how they do here with double receivers split each side. And Barry in the backfield. And he's going to throw near side. Marcus Johnson catches it at the 41 and evades a tackle, but is brought down at the 45, just shy of it at the 44. And it'll be a gain of about 9.
Yeah, Kentucky State going with almost a prevent coverage where they were giving Marcus Johnson about 10 yards off the ball. Slippery Rock recognized that and took advantage of it.
So 2nd and 1. And again, they go to Johnson for the first down. He'll step out of bounds. Great work by the senior as he gets out of bounds at the 48-yard line, picks up the first down, stops the clock at 46.9 seconds.
Smart heads-up play, but obviously now you have Kentucky State keying in on Marcus Johnson. There were about 3 guys right there, so this is when you need someone. I'm looking down on the field right now. You have number 87, Dylan Stapleton. This is a guy that's a tight end, wide receiver hybrid, big body frame. Could be someone to look at in a situation like this, hoping to get one-on-one coverage.
Rock at midfield, trying to add to the score. They lead 21-0. Gary throws deep, downfield, has a man breaking underneath, and it's knocked away. Great defensive play by C.J. Toney, as the intended receiver, Andrew Bridgeforth, was about to rein that in. It was a perfectly thrown pass, maybe a hair short, but it was right on the money, and just a great defensive play.
Yeah, you got to tip your cap to Tony on that play. He was able to go up and knock that ball away. That was a well-thrown ball by Tanner Gary. He did have Stapleton open on about a 10-and-out route, but obviously was trying to go for the home run, and just wasn't able to get it away.
Now he'll throw far side, and this time he does have Bridgeforth to the far side and brings it down at the 45. A short gain, but unfortunately the Rock going to have to take another timeout. He was not able to get near the sideline, and that'll stop the clock with 31 seconds left, but it'll make it a 3rd and about 5.
We've talked about sophomore kicker Jake Chapla. His leg, what he's able to do, he had a 52-yarder, I believe, last year. Was his long, so I think the Rock would feel comfortable anywhere around 55 yards with Chapla. So right now the ball sits at the 45-yard line, and trying to play it out in my head, I think the 30 would probably be a key target that gets you to about a 47-yard field goal, which I think would be makeable for Chapla. I think that's what they've identified as a target marker. You've got 30 seconds on the clock. No timeouts, though. Obviously, though, you have the college football first down stop clock rule.
So they need a 15-yard play here on 3rd down to set that up. And the only question mark would be, is the field conducive to enough to kick a long field goal? It's got to be rough down there, no doubt about it. And it's getting really chewed up. We've only spent, out of the first 2 quarters, I think we've only spent 5 or 6 minutes in the opposite side of the field. This near side to our left is really getting munched.
A good thing for the Rock. I'd rather have your offensive side get beat up because that means you were there.
Here we go, 3rd and 5. Gary has to flush out of the pocket. Now he pulls it down. Now he runs up. He flushes it forward, gets inside the 30 to Marcus Johnson, gets down to the 29, and you even have some defenders saying, hey, get out of bounds. But it's a first down. It should stop the clock as they move the chains. And that'll allow the Rock to line back up. First down play to Marcus Johnson. And a quick huddle and snap, and they're going to spike it with 15 seconds left.
You know, we talked about the quote-unquote gunslinger mentality of Tanner Gary. I think you saw a little bit right there. The ability to get out of the pocket, rolling to his left, throwing across the body, not the easiest thing to do. He was able to throw a pass to Marcus Johnson. Marcus Johnson trying to go the extra mile to get out of bounds. That's a well-executed scrambling play. Again, that gunslinger mentality we were talking about with Gary, that's when it comes into play.
So here we go with a 2nd and 10 from the 29-yard line.
2nd and 10.
The Rock has possessed the ball only 9 minutes of the opening half, but they lead 21-0. Kentucky State with almost a 20-minute time of possession. Here's Gary in the shotgun, takes the snap, drops back, looks. He wants the end zone. He's going to throw across the middle, and a receiver breaking inside. That Millie Ray just not able to get back to it. It was a well-thrown ball, but Millie was breaking just a hair late trying to come across the middle, and it was just short of his feet.
I think they're going to go, I would go jump ball here to Marcus Johnson. You've got about 9 seconds left. You might as well. This is a guy, if you believe in his ability to go up there and get it, even if he's double covered, that way you would save some time to get a kick in from Chapla. They tried it with Millie Ray, but he was covered. I think this is a prime opportunity to just give a jump ball to number 9.
You got Andrew Bridgeforth on the top side, Dylan Stapleton in the slot, Millie Ray on the near slot next to Marcus Johnson. Let's see what they do. And if the prognostication is correct, 3rd and 10. They're looking his way. They're going to throw it up, just do that, but he's going to throw it out of bounds. That just didn't develop the way I think actually he was going to try to get Millie Ray down on the near side. But
yeah, Johnson stayed in the slot.
Yeah, 4th down, so they kind of shuffled that up, maybe thinking Kentucky State would be thinking what you were thinking, and didn't play out that way. So a little trickery maybe in the Roper bag. So we're going to try a field goal here from the 36-yard line. It'll make it a 46-yard attempt for Jake Chapla on the near hash.
Oh.
We forgot somebody. We only have 10 guys on the field. And there we go. And the play clock winding down to 5. Low snap. Here's the kick. It's got enough leg room. Does it get there? No, it's going to be pushed to the left. And I think the timing on that didn't help. But it's no good. So the 46-yard attempt goes for naught. It runs out the clock, and we're at halftime. We'll come back to recap the first half stats coming up here in just a moment. The Rock leading 21-0 after 2 quarters. You're listening to Rock Football here on the Rock Station 97.7, 977rocks.com, and rockathletics.com.
Bullets Automotive, Route 8, 1 mile north of Branston Road, Slippery Rock. Two guys who really know what they're doing.
A few years ago, I coined the phrase for Robert Stevens Jewelers, making beautiful memories on Main. I'd like to take that a step further and add making your dreams come true on Main. You dream it up, and with Steve's creativity and 30 years behind the Goldsmith bench, along with computer-aided drawings, he's going to make it happen. It's obvious. You can't fake experience. On Main Street in Butler, it's Robert Stevens Jewelers, taking dreams and making memories.
Please welcome to the field for your halftime entertainment, the greatest band in the SIAC, as we make our tribute to the King of Pop, Michael Jackson. Leading our thundering Thorobreds stampede are your three master drum majors who have, out of dedication to their craft, declined mention of their own names to create a greater level of unification. There is no I and we, there is no you and team, there is only they. A little man with a big heart ain't little so more.
Hear the halftime
I'm
accolades.
all in on halftime. This is awesome. I'm glad college football's back. This is great.
It's halftime, if you didn't notice, here at Alumni Stadium, and they've got a power-packed Thoroughbred band down on the field, so we'll try to talk over them for a moment. Give you a recap. It's been a good start for the Rock here, 21-0 at halftime. They have put up 3 touchdown passing scores and 242 total yards. Tanner Gary in his Rock debut, 13 of 23 and 3 touchdown scores. The Rock actually received the ball in the opening quarter and went 3 and out, punted the ball away. Kentucky State then would turn the ball back over via a fumble back to the Rock, and the Rock deep in Kentucky State's territory would take advantage of it and put together a short drive that would end with a Marcus Johnson 7-yard touchdown pass from Tanner Gary to make it 7-0. Kentucky State put together a pretty solid drive of a dozen plays, but it was really shut down by some impressive defensive work, including 4 tackles for a loss and then eventually a sack by Tim Vernick that squashed any opportunity for the Thoroughbreds to get on the board on just their second series. The teams would trade punts, and that would pretty much be the first quarter. Opening up the second quarter, the Rock put together a very solid drive, 10 plays that ended up with a Tanner Gary to Brian McNally touchdown pass of 6 yards to make it 14-0. Kentucky State would get the ball back, work 8 plays before being forced to turn it over on downs to the Rock. And the Rock, very short order, 4 plays, would hit another touchdown pass linkage of Gary to Johnson of 46 yards, and that was the scoring, 21-0. They just missed a 46-yard field goal attempt by Jake Chapla, but that keeps the score 21-0. So a lot of great work by the Rock. Offense opportunistic, and you'd have to say opportunistic defense by the Rock, especially completely shutting down any kind of running game so far, and really containing the work of Paul Campbell.
And I think what they've done early in this game is limit the mistakes. And when you have a young team like that, those are the concerns that you have coming into, especially game 1 against a team where there's a lot of unknowns. The Rock have limited those mistakes, especially defensively. There haven't been too many penalties. There was the one holding penalty, which I didn't even see on the last possession that Kentucky State had. But the Rock, as you have said, they've risen to the occasion. They've been there to make plays when they needed to make plays. And so I think that's something that Sean Lutz and this coaching staff can go into halftime feeling pretty confident about, is their ability to make those plays. And this is a young linebacking core. I've seen some nice stuff from Dylan Whiteman. I've seen that quote-unquote Bob Vernick, Tim Vernick, Bob Vernick mentality. All those Vernicks, they have that bring your lunch pail to work type mentality. We've seen that from him. And then we've also seen Tristan McDonald come in and make some plays as well. So we've seen a nice, I would say, core
from the three. Boy, this is a big difference in terms of volume of talking, but but we've seen a big difference in what those three guys have brought to the table, and there were concerns. I was concerned coming into this game, can this front seven contend? Another guy, Bob, that's really caught my eye is Zach Bader. This is a guy who comes from Youngstown State to come into this position. He's a backup behind Trey Blanford, who was also another transfer in. He was coming from Indiana State. He rolls his ankle in warm-up. That means that quote-unquote next man up mentality. Bader's there. He's been beat on a play or two, but I really like what I've seen from him. I think the front seven has played pretty well.
Really have, and it's been a solid start here. So a 21-0 lead at halftime for the Rock over Kentucky State. And we'll, next up, give a little look-see into some of the accolades of Marcus Martin, who, by the way, folks, as you listen to the stats that I throw at you here at halftime, keep in mind he already has 4.5 tackles for a loss in this game. We'll take a break and let you hear that and get some halftime information and be back to kick off the second half of this opening game from Alumni Stadium in Frankfort, Kentucky. The Rock leads it 21-0. You've got Rock Football here live on 97.7 FM, as well as rockathletics.com and 977rocks.com.
At this time, we would like to send special thanks to our president, M. Christopher Brown II, Director of Bands, Alvin Level, and Auxiliary Director, Cherie Level. This is our year. Y'all see that square? Y'all know what time it is? Turn up one time for the one time. Everybody in the stands and turn up like you at home in the mirror. Get your Michael Jackson on. Undefeated. Oh my God! What? My band. Y'all done killed my band. What's going on? What's happening? What's going on? Oh my God! And whosoever shall be found without the soul for getting down, creatures crawl in search of blood to terrorize our neighborhood. The foulest stenches in the air, the smoke of 40,000 years. about that Kentucky State University marching band? And how about their announcer up here, Ethan Coates, providing all the excitement and noise. Fantastic job, band. Fans, don't forget the Kentucky region is selling raffle tickets for homecoming. The homecoming package includes 2 tickets to the classes and reunion banquet, 2 tickets to the Friday night event, 2 tickets to the Saturday night event. Go to the alumni table right now in front of the gate. Tickets are $5. That's it, $5. They pull your name, you get tickets to everything. Homecoming weekend. Don't forget also, KSU's Frankfurt Alumni Chapter is selling tickets to the Circle City Classic right now. They are located right underneath the press box, first row. Get your tickets to the Circle City Classic right now, underneath the press box, first row. Hey, Slippery Rock fans, what'd you think about that KSU marching band?
And we're back here at Alumni Field, Kentucky State University. The Rock taking a 21-0 lead into halftime. And coming back onto the field here with second half looming. Warm-ups underway. And a pretty solid effort today by a gentleman we just discussed, Marcus Martin. He actually now has been credited with 5 tackles for a loss in the game today. No sacks as yet. 5 tackles for a loss gives him 70 for his career, moves him up to the 5th spot in the Division II career tackles for a loss record book. So
he jumped up 4 spots in 30 minutes.
In 30 minutes time. Yes, indeed. How about it? Great effort. He has 7 total tackles today, 5 tackles for a loss. How about Tavares Sample? 6 tackles today. Kyle Hall and Dylan Whiteman having good first half for the defense. And so far, the Rock has held Kentucky State to just 13 yards on 19 carries.
Yeah, and we had talked about the concerns of the front 7, the youthfulness of them all. You hold a team to 13 yards rushing in the first half. I mean, that's pretty impressive. I think that's a pretty good statement for what this Rock defense has been able to do. And I think that speaks to the coaching staff as well. Don Rosanto, the defensive coordinator, Sean Lutz. There's a lot that has to go into preparation, looking at the tape. Doing all your due diligence to get these guys prepared for the game, and they have responded, and they've looked pretty good.
Yes, they have. So 21-0. Let's see what the second half entails and how it unfolds. It is going to unfold with Kentucky State getting the ball first as the Rock won the toss and received. Now they'll kick off, and it's Silva back deep inside his 5. He's crossed the 10, straight up the field to the 15, trips, goes forward, and keeps his feet up across the 30-yard line. He hit the 25 and was stumbling and just kept going forward, showing some pretty solid speed, too, to get there.
Yeah, nice boot by Chapla, but an even nicer return by Silva. So here comes Kentucky State. And, Bob, you look at the numbers, it actually was not that bad of a first half. They just shot themselves in the foot, had a lot of mistakes on there. And Paul Campbell, I thought, looked pretty good, the quarterback for Kentucky State. 13 of 16, so highly efficient, but only 97 yards. Meanwhile, you take a look at Tanner Gary, same number of completions, 13 of 22 for 202 yards. He's doubled the amount of yards that Paul Campbell has had. They dink and dunk. They really don't like to go down the field too often, but he's got a good pocket presence. Kentucky State could put things together here and put some points on the board. This one by no means is over with a 21-0 lead.
Well, those penalties you mentioned have hurt them, 6 of them for 46 yards, and they've been critical. They come out with a new running back in the backfield. That's Tyrone Wilkerson, a sophomore out of Louisville, Kentucky. And he takes the first handoff of the second half and goes for a yard.
But again, only a yard. The Rock defense able to clog up the middle. They've got a nose for the ball, and I know that's a football cliche, but they're always there. They've always got a number of white jerseys around the football, so it's not just one guy working one-on-one. They've got a lot of tacklers there to help.
Second down. And Wilkerson will stay in the backfield with Campbell, who's in the shotgun. And he's going to hand it off. And it is Wilkerson going across the 35 to the 37-yard line. He'll pick up 4 on that play. So back-to-back plays, the handoff to 31. And he's got some of the best yardage outside of the scrambles of Paul Campbell himself so far on the ground today for Kentucky State.
Yeah, they don't list his height and weight. As he checks out, they bring back in Silva. But he seems to be a pretty powerful runner. Thick guy, thick individual, ability to get up the gut and try to explode for some yards.
Third down play. Man goes in motion, tight end. Campbell does the check with me to the sideline. Now he's going to change up the play. They've got double receivers split, but you've got a tight end in there. And now they're going to pitch it to the outside. Silva's going to be hit and dropped in the backfield. Tackled for a loss by Marcus Martin again. Hit up front that time by one of the...
Tristan McDonald.
Yeah, Tristan.
One of a true freshman outside linebacker. And again, when you're running that pitch play, that's exactly what you want to have happen. Marcus Martin forcing Campbell to pitch early on the play, and Tristan McDonald right there to corral Silva in the backfield. So that's exactly how you want to execute defensively against the option pitch.
Drops him back to the 34-yard line following the loss, and it'll be a punting situation very quickly, 3 and out for Kentucky State. Marcus Johnson stands at his own 28 and awaits the punt from Cal. High snap over his head. He reels it in and is able to get rid of it. Boy, nice job. It's going to be great field position, though. The ball hits and takes a nosedive at the 50 and rolls across to the 39-yard line. And that could have been outright disaster, and a great job by the punter to just keep his wits about him, grab the ball, run to the outside, kind of does a rugby kick anyway, and was able to get rid of it.
Yeah, nice job by Cal. He was able to corral the ball and somehow get it off. And it did take a friendly bounce. I mean, after all of that, to be at your own 38-yard line, that's not too bad for Kentucky State.
Yeah, that could have been easily in their own territory. So here comes Tanner Gary leading his offense back on the field for the second half. He has 3 touchdowns in his belt in his debut, and he's going to come out with Isaiah Neely in the backfield. The Rock running game really not getting going in that first half. And they're going to try it this time. No, they're going to play action, and it's Millie Ray. Ducks inside, spins to the outside, and picks up 9.
Quick athletic moves by Millie Ray to just run a simple hitch route of about 6-7 yards, turn around, face, elude a defender, and then pick up some more yardage. But again, Tanner Gary, nice pocket presence, delivering a nice solid strike on target to Ray to allow him to not really overthink where he needs to catch, but what his next move is.
The athletic ability is second to none in the PSAC for Millie Ray. And he grabs another one. This time it's a first down. Comes across the middle and goes to the outside and ducks out of bounds at the 45-yard line. It's the Millie Ray show here in the second half.
Again, talk about pocket presence with Tanner Gary. Fakes a handoff, knows where his first option is. That's Ray on a hitch, or rather an out route. Ability to stay in the pocket, know where he's going to be. I talk about timing because in this offense, that's just so critical.
Now a quick snap. Gary going to throw to the near side. It's Andrew Bridgeforth. He's got it and evades a tackle. Has running room downfield to the 30-yard line before he's dropped at the 29.
Got to give Bridgeforth a lot of credit there because Millie Ray had his guy blocked along with McNally. There was a third Kentucky State defender that was unclaimed. So Bridgeforth was working one-on-one against him, was able to make a miss, and was able to pick up a nice amount of yardage.
And the Rock offense coming out with intent here in their first drive of the second half. Really marching it downfield here effectively. 1st and 10 at the 30. Here's a snap handoff. It's Isaiah Neely, and he doesn't have anything. He runs right into the awaiting arms of number 45, Christopher Crawley, and that'll go for no gain.
Crawley's been in on a few plays, and I don't think it's really anything he's doing. I think it's because Slippery Rock just hasn't accounted for him on a few plays. He's been coming around the edge, and no one's there to claim him. This has been a recurring issue with the Rock offensive line.
9 yards, 8 yards, both to Millie Ray, 15 to Andrew Bridgeforth, and now the no gain. 2nd and 10. And he wants it all. Throws downfield, has Bridgeforth just out of the reach of his hands in double coverage, but a well-thrown ball out of the reach of the defenders, just maybe about 2 yards too far, incomplete.
Yeah, just a little bit too much on it. Again, though, another nice solid throw. You like to see these crisp spiral passes coming out of Tanner Gary's hand. I mean, this is a guy that does have, he's living up to the big arm building, the gunslinger mentality. He's not afraid to throw it into a tight space because he does believe in his ability to get it there.
And these are all timing things that, he hasn't started a game since 2011. Keep that in mind. He's played some football, but nothing of any relevance that would allow you timing patterns. And now here's a timing pattern across the middle to Marcus Johnson inside the 10 for a first down. Actually, inside the 15, I should say, down to the 12.
Here you have one-on-one coverage. Marcus Johnson working against Ryan Luckett, the cornerback for Kentucky State, who did not do a bad job. He's right on top of him. But Gary's hitting him right in between the numbers. That's stuff you can't teach.
And you got to love the relationship these two are building already. Here's Millie Ray coming to the inside, goes across the 10 down to the 5-yard line, and it will be a 2nd down and short. Still can get a first down.
Actually, check that Marcus Johnson on the reception there, Bob. He was over to the left. A little bit more of a pass, I think, to Johnson's inside than what it needed to be. Again, just a timing issue.
Yeah, he's up on the top side again. So about 2nd and 3 here, and they're going to go to Marcus at the back of the end zone. He grabs it, pulls it in, and he didn't get both feet down. Boy, that was close. Well, he only needs one in college, but that was close.
If you have video replay on that, and that referee's got to make a quick judgment call. But this is what we were talking about. Johnson's ability to go up and get a pass. There was not a lot of air underneath that ball. It was a pretty well-thrown strike into the back corner of the end zone. Johnson, though, somehow towering over top of Luckett and was able to pull it down, just not with apparently 1 foot in bounds.
One heck of a grab.
Really was.
So it's now 3rd and 2. And it'll be Neely to the sidecar right. Man in motion, and here's the snap, and it will be a handoff. Stretch play. Neely goes for the end zone, and he runs right in untouched. Isaiah Neely, 5-yard scamper for the touchdown. First rushing touchdown of the season for the Rock, and they extend the score now to 27-0. Just a beautifully done play, and the blocking opened up downfield, and there was not a Kentucky State Thoroughbred in sight.
Yeah, give credit to the offensive line, but also Zach Cirillo in on the play. Cirillo, a redshirt sophomore out of Hickory High School, was able to be that last blocker on the outside. He needed to take care of the final defender. He was able to get and shove him out of the way. That allowed Neely to get in pretty much unscathed.
The extra point try is up and good. Makes it 28-0. So a 10-play drive.
Chaplin kicked it over the building.
Did he? 10-play drive, 67 yards. And the Rock is up 28-0 now with the clock standing at 10:10. We'll take a 30-second timeout. Be back for the kickoff on Rock Football here on the Rock Station 97.7.
Save on automotive supplies when you shop Slippery Rock True Value. Right now, a gallon of Prestone antifreeze coolant is only $10.99. Or get a gallon of Prestone 50/50 pre-diluted antifreeze coolant for just $7.99. Both prevent corrosion and help keep the cooling systems in your car or light-duty truck running efficiently. These special formulas also provide up to 150,000 miles or 5 years of protection. Shop these bargains of the month now while supplies last. Slippery Rock True Value. Behind every project is a true value.
You're listening to Rock Football on the Rock.
Well, it's been a good start so far today for the Rock, up 28-0 after the Isaiah Neely 5-yard touchdown run. And complements the 3 touchdown passes for new quarterback Tanner Gary. 28-0 is the score here. And we're ready to get things kicked off to Kentucky State. Here's Chaplain's boot. Kind of a line drive downfield. Silva grabs it at his 5. He's across the 10, 15, ducks in across the 20, spins out of the tackle, and he's downfield. He's got one man to beat, and they're going to come across and put a hand on him. And coming up from behind with a tackle is the Rock's Kyle Hall with a flag coming down very, very late. Great work by Silva, who comes up with grass all over his helmet. And just a great job by him to keep going forward, spinning through some tackles, but some poor tackling at the same time by the Rock.
Yeah, a little bit of some poor tackling. I think we're going to get a hold here.
Be at the end of the play. It looks like at about the, the 46. So they'll put it back toward midfield as a result. But, hey, what a return. This guy's showing some serious danger.
On the return game, absolutely. And I think that was part of the reason Chaplin tried to angle it, maybe not giving him a clean of a look as he did the last time. And maybe I could be wrong. He could have just mishit it. But no, Silva finds a nice job of identifying the gap to run. And give credit to the blocking for Kentucky State, too, to open up lanes like that. Just unfortunately, I'm pretty sure, well, I guess fortunately for the Rock, I think it was Chaplin who got held, which is kind of a head-scratcher if you're the Thorobreds and John L. Smith going, why would you try to hold a kicker? And I think that's exactly, at least it was in that area. But still really good field position, 44-yard line.
Yeah, going to start out near midfield. Kentucky State, they've been here before with good field position. Weren't able to do anything with it. Let's see if they do it this time. It looks like Cloyd is back in, and he'll take the carry. He was kind of quiet in that first half. Lavelle Cloyd, their starting running back. This time, though, gets positive yardage across the 50 into Rock territory down to the 47-yard line.
Tavares Sample, the one there, was supplying the head, and always not a great play whenever your strong safety has to be the guy to tackle the running back. But Tavares Sample, wide receiver, moving over to the defensive side of the ball this year and has embraced the role, and he's looked pretty good today.
Second and short now after the 8-yard grab, and now Cloyd, he'll miss a tackle and get the first down, and he's going to be tackled at the 40-yard line. This time, bringing him down for the Rock is number 39, Kadir Roberts.
And give credit to the offensive line for Kentucky State. They're moving the Rock front four where they want them to, and that's opening lanes for Cloyd to run through. So they've done a nice job of handling. Let's see how the Rock respond.
First and 10. Now it's play action. Campbell going to roll out to the far side. He's hit and dropped by Marcus Martin, but he just had released the ball, and he gets it out to Anderson for about a 7-yard grab. Boy, Marcus Martin just half a step away
Yeah.
from his first sack of the day.
Paul Campbell doing a nice job of releasing at the last possible second. He's trying to wait for the play to develop. Marcus Martin trying to force that issue. Campbell, though, showing a nice relaxed ability to throw on the run. That's a beautiful strike right there.
Second down. Now throw across the middle, and he hits the big tight end, Cameron Gore, 6'4" freshman. Look at this guy out of Fort Knox, Kentucky. He looks like he could be the Fort Knox Bank. 6'4", 241-pound tight end, and they've got the first down.
Yeah, that's a big body there, and Tristan McDonald was in on the tackle. He's a true freshman, 6'1", 210, so you're looking at almost a 30-pound difference between a tight end and your linebacker for the Rock. Good form, though, from McDonald, able to get low and bring him down.
First and 10. Campbell in the pistol now. He'll go play action, roll out again. Looking downfield with a flag dropping. It's Anderson with the catch and tackled at the 1-yard line, but hold on. There is a flag.
Yeah, this one's going to be holding, and we'll come back again. And then we have a flag down at the where the play ended.
Maybe there was a face mask tackle.
I wonder if they're going to call horse collar on maybe the tackle. So now they're going to converse. But again, another nice throw by Paul Campbell on the run, splitting a seam to hit his guy in stride. I've been very impressed with what we've seen from the transfer quarterback.
And the flag thrown by the line judge. She dropped it right about the 34-yard line. All right, they're going to repeat the down. It was a hold in the backfield and then a horse collar tackle at the 1 that kept the touchdown away from Anderson, but it is all for naught.
And if you're Kentucky State, again, penalties at inopportune times, that's a big-time play. It's a 25-yard gain, and you have to go right back to where you started.
Well, you look at the fumble in the first quarter, and now 2 key penalties. This could be a much different game right now. You could be looking at a 21-14 at best lead.
Yeah, it honestly does not feel like a 28-0 ball game.
So we go first and 10 all over again, and they'll hand it off to Cloyd this time, and he's going to try to get something going, but gets generated into the ground for no gain. And that one just kind of broke up. It really was not a real clean handoff, and by the time he got it, he spun his wheels in the mud of the natural turf, and the green and white were there.
Yeah, Tim Vernick sniffing that one out, was just able to chase down and make the tackle. That's, like you said, just a long delay in the handoff process that allows your middle inside linebacker to come through and take care of business.
Tell you what, you take away the war paint. It looks like Bobby Vernick out there. Second and 10. Here's the snap and a handoff inside this time to Silva, and he's got running room, and he's going to get the first down, at least reach out for it, and real close. I think he got it at the 16-yard line. Boy, just the difference that this young man brings in, Silva, just a different style, short, fast, speedy, 5'8", 193.
Yeah, and that's exactly. He has good football presence, the ability to find the gap and accelerate real quick. We saw similar things with, I think, Shamar Green in terms of that ability to turn the motor on real quick and explode through where the in the trenches portion. That's a big-time ability from a running back.
Now here's play action. Oh, and it slips out of the hand of Campbell, who fumbles it forward, and they say it's a live ball. The Rock has picked it up. Let's review this. He went to throw the ball, and it looked like it slipped right out of his hand, and they do say it was a fumble.
Boy, I would really disagree.
Boy, they're going to really discuss this, but his arm was coming forward, but the ball was slipping out of his hand. Now, do they have the Tom Brady rule in college? We'll find out in a moment here. There's a lot of discussion on the field here. The arm was coming forward, and he dropped it. Nope, they're going to call it incomplete.
Which is the right call.
Yeah.
I mean, that was about as, even though he did not intend to throw it, it looked like a fumble. That arm comes forward. That's it. If that hand, or if the ball was still in his hand while it's coming forward, no matter where it goes, it's going to be an incomplete pass.
And if we were able to see a replay, I'm sure it would show you that the hand was coming forward with the pass.
Yeah.
It just, he got to the top of the arm swing there, and it just rolled right off his fingertips, and he tried to grab it, almost did, and just kind of knocked it forward, and it ended up being recovered by the Rock, but it was an incomplete pass. So we'll make it second down, and it looks like it's starting to rain.
Yeah, we've got some precipitation.
Yep. First time today that we are seeing some of the remnants of Hurricane Harvey kind of fall after a pretty soggy start yesterday down here. In fact, the Rock wanted to do a little bit of a run-through on the field, especially because of the natural turf. It was raining so hard down here, they just didn't even bother going with it because it wasn't going to be productive. 2nd and 10 now, 6:37 mark on the clock. At the 16-yard line, Kentucky State threatening. This is the 3rd time today they've had a significant threat deep into Rock territory, but have not been able to take the goose egg off the board. And now they got a slippery rock warning for the Rock. Kentucky State already penalized for that. This time just a warning for the Rock. Coach Lutz puts his hands in his pockets and just kind of takes a walk away. He'll take a deep breath here. Campbell in the shotgun, and he has Silva next to him. Here's the snap, and he's going to hand it off to Silva, and he goes inside. Same exact play, and he's still able to punch forward down to the 12-yard line, a gain of 4.
Showing patience, staying behind his blockers. He had 2 big green jerseys in front of him, and he was able just to wait it out to determine should I bounce right, bounce left, or stay behind these big hogs. He eventually just moved a little bit to the left. Slippery Rock was able to bring him down. But again, patience and explosiveness, 2 big things that you like to see in a running back, and that's what Silva has.
Well, I'll tell you, if you're a Kentucky State fan, you've got to be excited of the season ahead. This team, gets this game under its belt. They're showing that they have a pretty significant offense, and that was one thing that I think they struggled with last year. 3rd and 6 now, 5:57 on the clock, turning. Rock showing pressure. Campbell drops back and is hit as he gets rid of the ball, but he gets rid of it, and a great pass play to Silva, who pulls it in, leapfrogs to the 4-yard line, and the Rock just, again, almost getting to Campbell. He does a great job staying with it and getting rid of it.
Yeah, he shows no pressure. He has that ability to see the field, know where he wants to go, even though there's a guy coming in untouched in Tim Vernick. Here's the thing, though. Kentucky State saw Vernick showing blitz. No one picked him up. They opted just to let him walk in free, but give Campbell credit. I mean, that's impressive.
It's a 7-yard gain, and it'll set up a 1st and goal for Kentucky State. Now the scramble for Campbell. He tries to go forward, but he's going to go nowhere, and is dropped in the backfield by Slippery Rock's Owen Jacobs.
And we've got a Rock defender down. It looks like Zach Bader.
Zach Bader has had a pretty strong game today. The transfer in from Youngstown State, down on the ground. Now he's up to his knees, but just trying to catch his breath here. I'm not really sure what happened to him. He is down at about the 4-yard line. He's going to get up under his own power here. He is up and walking okay. Don't know if he took a bit of a pop there, maybe in the scrum of the sneak, but it goes for no gain. 2nd and goal.
And I always go up in the air about that. Your offense is always shotgun. This is the first time that we've seen Kentucky State go under center. I mean, especially from the 5-yard line, I think that makes absolutely no sense at all. I think you should be staying with what your offense is. The only time I would go with that is right around the 1 or 2 yard line. I give them credit for believing in Paul Campbell. Obviously, you got a big 6'3", 230 guy, but that's throwing you out of your element. People aren't used to Campbell being under center. Your offensive line isn't. Your running backs aren't. Your wide receivers aren't. It's just a different wrinkle, and now they go back to their normal shotgun start.
Zach going to go through... looks like maybe a little concussion protocol. Looks like he took a hit up high. Here's Cloyd with the ball carry, and that one goes for about a half a yard. So the Rock defense stiffening in the 5-yard line here. It'll be 3rd and goal.
Yeah, and this is a big gut check time. First time that Kentucky State has really knocked on the doorstep. First time they've been inside the 5-yard line. And so far the Rock have prevailed on the first 2 downs, but I think you'll have 2 more to go.
Zach Bader saying, I just had mud in my eye, and he's got his helmet back, so we're going to see him back in. 3rd and goal. Play action pass across the middle, caught.
Wow.
What a beautiful catch by Demetrius Anderson, who had a Rock defender all over him. And it's a touchdown. It breaks the shutout and puts 6 up on the board after a 4-yard touchdown throw.
That drive does not happen without number 4, Paul Campbell. That guy put together one heck of a drive. Even right there, that's tight inside coverage. Kyle Hall was there. He was right on top of Anderson. Paul Campbell, again with another hand in his face, stayed in the pocket, delivered a strike right across the middle, and was able to connect. He was able to extend plays on that drive, able to find receivers that I would say a typical college quarterback is not going to find. That was one heck of a drive.
That was certainly the Campbell-Silva show right there. Here's the extra point try, and it is up and no good. He pushed it to the left. So 6 points remains on the board for Kentucky State. It is 28-6 now. After the 4-yard touchdown pass, Campbell to Silva, and will return with the kickoff after this 30-second timeout on Rock Football on the Rock Station, 97.7. And we're back here on Rock Football. 28-6 is the score after the Kentucky State touchdown. And a 9-play drive covered just shy of 50 yards. Of course, the penalty on the Rock on their extra point on the previous touchdown really kind of set that up for Kentucky State. So penalties have played a very, very large part of today's action for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. On both sides. Kentucky State, I believe, would be in this game even closer if they were not committing the amount of penalties that they have. And the Rock have shot themselves in the foot as well and have given Kentucky State new life with some of their own.
And here's the kick, and it's downfield to Kyle Hall. Does a nice job turning upfield, spins out of a tackle at the 29-yard line and goes forward across the 30. And they're going to spot that out at about the 34-yard line. Let's see where they end up spotting it. Yeah, right about 34-yard line. Not bad, not a bad return for Kyle Hall. So
I know time of possession is not crucial with the offense at Slippery Rock runs, but establishing the run is. And I think that's something that I would like to see the Rock try to do on this drive. You're working with a 28-6 lead. Your defense was just out on the field for quite a bit. They were out there a decent while. I think the Rock need to put together more of a sustained drive. The ability to show and line up across these guys, say, we're going to run the ball, and we know we're going to get 3 to 4 yards a pop.
I lost my senses there. It was the 34, not the 35-yard line. You get Shakar Berry back in the backfield now with Tanner Gary in the shotgun, and he'll hand it off on a sweep play. And number 27 does a nice job waiting for the play to develop, but he fumbled the ball. Fumbled the ball as he was hit at the line of scrimmage, and Kentucky State has picked it up, and they've got the ball in a little bit of momentum here now after the previous touchdown. So a turnover, first one of the day for Slippery Rock.
Well, that really didn't establish the run, Bob, as I was kind of hoping. They tried to do a sweep play to the left, extend it, just did not work. The play was really running stale there for a while, and a Kentucky State defender got his hands on the football, knocked it loose, and the Thorobreds have life in the third quarter.
One of their players, Ryan Luckett, a defensive back coming off the field very, very slowly. He was shaken up on that play. It'll be 1st and 10, Kentucky State, as they bring the offense back out on the field. They'll start it at the 33-yard line, 3:53 mark of the third quarter. The Rock leading 28-6.
Kentucky State better be careful here. There's only 10 seconds left on the play clock.
Man in motion. Here comes, and the flag is thrown, and this play will be blown dead.
Yeah, that was an illegal motion. It had to be. Something just seemed off there. And the officials will get together to discuss it. They sent Court Grotehouse in motion. It just didn't seem like anything was put together. I'm guessing that's who that flag's going to be on. Officials still discussing it.
A long talk here.
Oh, false start.
So that'll move Kentucky State back again here. And add to it 8 penalties now. 8 penalties. Clock has continued to run through this whole mess. So they're going to stop that and reset it.
I think the Rock were perfectly fine with letting that tick away.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So Shakar Berry on his debut today has been slow to develop and fumbled that ball. Gives Kentucky State life. Campbell goes back to pass, and just missing a sack is Marcus Martin. He slipped through the feet, but then Campbell scrambles forward And it's a tackle for a loss as they drop 4 yards on that play, and that was all forced by number 44, Marcus Martin.
Yeah, Marcus Martin able to get in, cause a little penetration on the line. Like you said, I got a hand on him, couldn't bring him down. Dylan Whiteman was there to finish it off. But again, give Paul Campbell credit. He was able to realize the pocket was collapsing, took a few steps up, got back to the line of scrimmage, and actually, I think, gained a yard on that, Bob.
Actually, a 4-yard loss down to the 37. Now a pass play across the middle to Court Grotehouse, and a great catch, a hard hit, and he holds on to it. Boy, strong arm pass by Campbell, who gets it forward for 8 yards down to the 27-yard line. It'll be third and short.
Yeah, 2 down territory for the Thoroughbreds.
Here's the snap to Campbell. And he's going to play action. Roll to the outside. Here comes Martin. Hits him as he gets rid of it, and it forced an incompletion.
Making smart plays. That's what Paul Campbell's doing. He's been seeing number 44, Marcus Martin, in his face for most of the game. And that's just throwing the ball away outside of the pocket. Not a receiver there, but not intentional grounding either. That's a heads-up play. And he's been really able to stave off Marcus Martin from accumulating some sacks because Martin's been there. And Paul Campbell has been able to make smart plays really for most of this game.
And I did say a loss of 4. It was a gain of 1. You were right on that. 4th and 4.
Thank you, Bob.
First game jitters. Here's the pass play on 4th down. It's caught by Anderson. He escapes a tackle. And now he's going to be brought down, and the ball is stripped away and picked up by the Rock. And are they going to say he's down? There's going to be a discussion here as one of the Rock defenders come up and just did a big arm bar on trying to tackle him, knocked the ball away, but they may say he was down.
Yeah, I think they're going to say he was down. Well, they're trotting that ball back quite a bit.
I'm not sure what they're discussing here, but
a lot of confusion on the field now. But again, giving Anderson credit, running to that first down marker. Paul Campbell giving another solid strike of a throw. And here come the Thoroughbreds.
Yeah, they stay alive. 1st and 10 at the 15 now. And here's an end-around handoff to Anderson, and he's going to be closed in and dropped for a loss of about an inch or two. But,
Whiteman
only got back to the 15.
Dylan Whiteman, outside linebacker, collapsing in a little bit too early on that. He was able to regain his ground and get back to bring down Cloyd. Got to be careful on that for Whiteman. That's a freshman out there. You got to hold outside contain. You don't want to come in too early. That's Marcus Martin's job, is to force that issue around that right tackle. You're supposed to stay contained on the outside. 2nd
and 10, trip receivers on the near side, and they hand it off this time to Cloyd, and he goes forward down to the 12-yard line, picks up 3.
Show of strength by Marcus Martin there. He's in on the tackle, and he's going to check out because he's been through quite a bit on this drive. But Cloyd extends the hand for a stiff arm move. Martin is still able to keep the motor running, bring him down, because there weren't too many Rock defenders there to take care of business if he wasn't able to do it.
That's not something you often see, is the number 44 taking a breather, going off to the far side with a glass of water there. And he needs one more tackle for a loss to break a school record here. And now in containment inside as Campbell spins and is brought. No, 44 is back in there.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Who
I saw
left the
94
field?
go off.
94. Zach Bader went off, and it was Marcus Martin who now has broken a school record with a tackle for a loss. Or did they give? Wait a minute. Did they give him a sack there?
He got back to the line of scrimmage.
He got right back. Right back to the line of scrimmage.
That's the one time Campbell was not able to get away from Marcus Martin. Here, I thought he had checked out. He's still there. That's how good he is. He seems like he's in 2 places at once, and it looks like Kentucky State's going to take a timeout. Oh, no, the Rock are.
The Rock takes a timeout. So that tackle for a loss, and because that's why I was shocked to see number 44 had left the field. That wasn't true. We were wrong on that. And now 6 tackles for a loss, breaks the all-time record of 6, single-game record that actually Marcus Martin shared with Jeremy George. Marcus had 6 tackles for a loss in the playoff game with Shepherd back in 2015. Jeremy George had set his record back in 1998 against Cal. So another record into the record books for future Rock Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I think that's
Marcus Martin. And speaking of the Hall of Fame inductions will be coming up down the road here, and we'll be keeping a close eye on that and probably do a little halftime segment surrounding some of the inductees. So pretty cool stuff.
We do have a big play here, though, Bob. 4th down and 10. Campbell, you're going to the air here, no question. The question, I think, for the Rock is, do you show blitz? Do you show pressure? Do you rely on your front 4 and then send 7 back into coverage, especially when they've been able to attack across the middle? So do you want to keep those 3 linebackers really in a zone defense across the middle, or do you want to bring the house, show a little pressure? I think Campbell has dealt with pressure well enough. I'd rather have our guys sit back and analyze where this defense is coming.
4th and 10. Campbell drops back, throws, and it's caught by Anderson. Another tremendous grab at the 3-yard line. He was going to the ground and somehow was able to keep his wits about him and pull in the ball for a 1st and goal.
Again, Anderson has good football IQ, ability to recognize where he needs to be, set up shop, and pick up the 1st down. Not Campbell's best throw, threw it a little bit off target. Good hands from Anderson. The Rock did decide to go bring 6. They left it one-on-one coverage with Anderson and the cornerback.
And there's a fumble, but it's recovered by Kentucky State. Lost the handle on that right out of the gate, but Campbell was able to fall on the ball himself.
Are they going to count that play? No, they're okay.
The clock ran out. Clock ran out, so there was no play. So that's the end of 3. But Kentucky State knocking on the door. They're trailing 28-6, but trying to get back into this game as we turn our attention to the 4th quarter. Up next, you're listening to Rock Football here today on the Rock Station, 97.7, online as well at 977rocks.com and streaming to rockathletics.com. And we're back, set for 4th quarter action, and Campbell tries to scramble himself, or no, he handed off, right?
Yeah, Cloyd on the
Cloyd, yeah. That happened so quick I wasn't looking up. I didn't realize they were ready to go. I was getting set here for the 4th quarter action, and a handoff from Campbell to Lavelle Cloyd, and it goes for naught, and it will remain 2nd and goal. So Kentucky State trying to score here to open up the 4th quarter to tighten this game up. It's 28-6 in favor of the Rock. Campbell now going to go up under center. And he's going to hand off. Cloyd goes up over the top of the 5 and down to the 2-yard line.
And this is what I was talking about earlier in the game. And this is the last time Campbell went under center, it was just a quarterback keeper. This time it was actually a handoff to Cloyd. I don't know if I'm in favor of that, unless because you're so used to doing the same thing over and over and over again. I don't know if going under center is the best way to change things up just because you're inside the 5-yard line.
Well, they keep grounding and pounding, and it's 3rd and goal now at the 3. This is the closest they've been all day. And another fumble, and Campbell scoops it up, but he's going to lose yardage back across the 5 to the 6-yard line. And again, self-inflicted wounds here.
And this is exactly what I'm talking about. That center all game long has been snapping back shotgun. All through training camp, all through preseason, everything that you do is running out of the shotgun set. Why now are you risking it on a wet day to have Campbell go under center, someplace that he's not used to being, someplace where the center isn't used to him being either? This is mind-boggling to me, and they're going, well, try it again, huh?
Well, Coach John L. Smith showing his frustration, walking out to the 45 with his hands on his hips. His team just not able to finish things off here right now. And it's a 4th and goal. Snap to Campbell. He looks for the end zone. Pumps. Now he's going to run, and he's going to get the touchdown. That pump just froze the Rock defense enough that he was able to scamper in from 4 yards out.
Yeah, and Campbell took about a half second to realize there was green in front of him. They did have 3 wide receivers set to Campbell's left, and that included Tristan McDonald on coverage on the slot receiver. So it really left the linebacking position empty on the left side. Campbell with one pump fake, like Bob said, moved the defense over, froze him on spots right up the middle. Campbell took advantage of it and went into the end zone.
So that makes it 28-12. And
You'd
now
assume
they're
a
going to go for
2-point,
two here to try to make it a 2-touchdown differential. So they will bring Campbell out, and they also bring out the ever-dangerous Brett Silva in the backfield. He's been really the biggest weapon in that backfield with Campbell. And now we have a direct snap to Silva, but the play was blown dead. And John L. Smith
Should be a timeout.
saying, no, we got a time. Yeah, it is timeout called by
I think this was
Kentucky
a
State.
trick play. And I think that's why John Smith is out on the field. Campbell had walked up to the line in an attempt to show confusion, and then I think it was supposed to be a direct snap to Silva, and that's why the coaching staff is going berserk. I think the officials just called a timeout out of a routine. Maybe someone asked for it unintentionally, but Bob, I believe this was a trick play at its heart, because I think they wanted Campbell to come up, give a direct snap to Silva, and then let him run. I could be wrong, which I probably am, but that's what it looks like it was intentioned to be. Because
Well,
Smith showed disgust. The offensive coordinator looked like he was disgusted with it. So there were a few coaches that I don't think were on board with this timeout call.
and watching the reaction of offensive coordinator Michael Digman of Kentucky State just now, he was going off
Yeah.
on one of the officials, so I think that's exactly it. They had a play opportunity kind of taken away from them here.
And there were about 2 to 3 seconds left on the play clock. So again, it would make sense, that a timeout would be in order there.
So now they set up again, same scenario. Silva is in the backfield with Campbell now, and they're going to do the exact same thing again. And now Silva runs, and he throws it to Anderson, and he throws it for a touchdown. Complete trick play as they direct snap to Silva. He ran, pitched it to Demetrius Anderson, who then throws the ball to the quarterback, Paul Campbell, for the 2-point conversion.
It's a well-designed play, and so I actually am justified, I think, Bob, in what I was saying. So Campbell comes up, points out like there is some confusion, and it's a direct snap to Silva. Silva rolls out to his left. They just flip it off. I believe, who was on the throw there? I missed who actually delivered
it. Was Demetrius Anderson.
Okay, so Anderson, who has been a common and probably the top target of Campbell today, they reverse rolls. Campbell sneaks off to the right. And to me, the Rock should have been on that. You got guys up here that I think should have been able to identify exactly what was going on there. Maybe they didn't think they would have the guts to do it again, but when Campbell comes up to the line for a second consecutive play to act confused, hey, red flag's got to go up. They're trying to do the same stuff again. Someone just stay on him because he's leaking somewhere.
And then I think the difference was they thought it was going to be a scramble probably by Silva, and got caught by the reverse back to Anderson, and Anderson then throws it to his quarterback. So they gained 2 points on it and do cut the lead to 2 touchdowns. It's 28-14 with the kickoff to come here at the 13-minute mark of the fourth quarter. So the Rock right now need to eliminate some clock time and maybe put together a very solid drive. And here's the boot, and it's a good one. And it's going to take Millie Ray back to the goal line. No, that's actually Landon Yurdy, and he loses his footing, drops the ball, and then loses his footing, then regains it, and not a very good return as a result. Just lost some momentum there.
Yeah, he went back to make a catch. His right foot was looking to plant, and instead it gave out and probably dug a divot that my sand wedge would normally do on a fairway. And so he lost the football, then had to regather himself and barely got out to the 15-yard line. No, they're going to say about the 13-yard line.
Boy, that's generous.
Yeah. The Rock in the shadow of their own goalpost here to start their next drive, coming off a one-play fumble drive the last time.
So, here we go. 1st and 10. And the Rock, I think, in need of a real good, solid, lengthy drive. And a kind of a bobbled snap there, but a handoff given to the running back who comes up over the 20 to the 24. That was Isaiah Neely with a great run of about 12 yards.
Probably the best gap we've seen all day long from the offensive line in terms of running room. Neely had a lot of room to run, so nice job by the guys up front.
Actually, they marked it knee down at the 23, 10-yard gain. High snap pulled down by Gary, but he hands it off. And this time, Neely picks up a couple more. He'll go to the 29. That'll be a gain of about 5 more. So all of a sudden, Isaiah Neely, second team, all PSAC last year, starting to get the wheels going
Yeah,
here.
this is the guy that has lived in the shadow of Shamar Green, and I think he would willingly do that because of how good Green is. But this is his time to shine, and he's a veteran back. He's been on the field now. I believe this is his 3rd year of seeing action. He's been a very solid running back for Slippery Rock.
Now a pitch to the outside to Neely. He's got to beat one man, and he beats him. And he's got a first down the sideline across the 40. What great work by number 25.
This is what you wanted to see. I mentioned it on the last drive, and a cough up and a fumble caused that to change. But you want to come out and establish the run. And you do it 2 times. You work the inside. Next time, let's do a pitch to the outside. That creates that one-on-one room for Isaiah Neely. He makes one man miss and picks up the first down.
16-yard grab and, chunks it off to the 42. And let's see if they keep the steady dose of the ground and pound going here.
Kentucky State showed blitz on the hard count from the Rock, so they do the check with me. Let's see if we see a read option play action here.
Got double receiver split to each side with Neely in the backfield, and it is going to be a screen pass. Marcus Johnson grabs it, has one man to beat. He does, leaps over him, avoids another tackler across the 50, down across the 45, brought down, and he's John to the green team on the near sideline, saying, "You can't stop me." Across the 40, down to the 37-yard line.
That play set up by Millie Ray's block out front. It was 2-on-2 coverage, Johnson Ray versus 2 Kentucky Statesmen. And Millie Ray with that key block that allowed Johnson to work one-on-one against his cornerback. Johnson wins that battle and picks up a first down.
Over 160 yards on the day now for Marcus Johnson. That's his 10th reception of the day. 1st and 10 into Kentucky State's territory. And here's a handoff stretch play, Neely. And he sees a flag come in behind him as he ducks up over the right guard position downfield at the far hash. But hold on. Holding. And they're going to grab one of the Rock offensive linemen, Wilford.
He said 54.
54.
I think he
meant 64.
Yeah.
Steve Gaviglia.
Yeah, a little. And you saw it on the pool, right where Neely was coming around. There was someone grabbing too much jersey. And I think that was part of the reason there was a bit of a gap there.
So what a day for Marcus Johnson to kick off his senior season. He's up to, as I mentioned, 10 receptions. He already has 2 touchdowns, 176 yards through the air so far. 1st and 20 now. High snap pulled down by Gary. No, it's a play action to Marcus Johnson. He's got one man to beat. He's going to get his 3rd touchdown. All alone, he beat him right up the seam. And it's a 48-yard touchdown pass. Put him over 200 yards and give him 3 touchdowns.
Great call by Justin Roper. This is what establishing the run does. You had Kentucky State biting on the play action. All front 7 take that first step in. So it's Marcus Johnson versus the secondary. Tanner Gary takes 1 step back, sees Johnson has room, has space, delivers a strike in stride. That's the big thing, in stride. That way Johnson can continue to run. He just turns on the burner and goes into the end zone for an easy touchdown.
And that's how you answer a score. Answer right back. 34-14 extra point try to come from Jake Chapla. Out of the hold of Mike Marhat. He does a good job. So does Chapla right through the uprights. 35-14, 10:28 mark of the 4th quarter. Here as we continue Rock football, we'll be back with the kickoff after a 30-second timeout on 97.7 FM.
Extra point is good.
Take that car to those 2 guys who really know what they're doing. Mark and Jared at Lutz Automotive in Slippery Rock. They work on every vehicle as if it was their own. They do everything from routine to major work, and they're experts on Subaru and VW timing belts. For collision and mechanical repairs, get to Lutz Automotive, Route 8, 1 mile north of Branston Road, Slippery Rock. 2 guys who really know what they're doing.
You're listening to Rock Football on the Rock Station 97.7.
Well, Marcus Johnson with his 3rd touchdown pass reception of the day from Tanner Gary. 224 yards through the air on 11 receptions now. And it pales Millie Ray's 6 catches for 75 yards. What a day for Marcus Johnson. And really, you have to give credit, too, to the work done by Tanner Gary, who now has 326 yards through the air, 20 of 31, 4 touchdowns, and a key component here, no interceptions.
Yeah, he's handled the ball well, really has not made too many errant throws. That's something that you really like to see. And he's finding guys in stride. We talk about these timing routes in the air raid offense, how important it is to get these guys in stride. That's exactly what happened with Marcus Johnson there. He's firing on all cylinders right now. I really like what I've seen from the transfer senior.
Isaiah Neely now, 9 carries, 50 yards. So the Rock running game has gotten under a little bit of footing here in the second half. And here's a nice tackle by Mike Merhot, but we've got a flag down here on the kickoff. The ball carrier, Silv, comes up over the 25, but let's see what they call.
Flag during the return.
And the Hankies have been busy today. They're probably
They have
pretty
been.
wet and muddy. So Kentucky State going to be called on a block in the back on the return. So that field position that they would have created is going to be all for naught.
Correction. Block below the waist.
It's a block below the waist, not a block in the back.
Gonna be honest, I didn't even know that was a penalty. Chop block? Is that what they were saying? I thought that just had to be offensive linemen.
Yeah. Well, it may be big because is that a differential in the amount of yards?
And that should be a personal foul penalty if I were.
That is that's
They're
15.
walking off
That's
15,
15
yeah.
yards. So that means Kentucky State will start at the 12 with 10:23 remaining on the clock here. Coming to you today from Frankfort, Kentucky.
The
Rock
capital.
football, the capital of Kentucky. Bluegrass State. And, we've had a nice visit down here. It's a beautiful area. Here's a low snap by Campbell. He's running outside, throws back in to his receiver, number 86, Jordan Level, who's then immediately leveled by Slippery Rock's Delmar Henderson.
That's how strong of a throw that was from Campbell, because I honestly thought at this time you had Delmar Henderson in on coverage who made a nice tackle. I thought that ball was going to stay up there longer where he could have stepped in front and taken it for an interception, but that's a strong throw on the run that hit Level, who had to go up and get it. Another nice throw from Campbell.
So it's a 4-yard gain, 2nd and 6 now from the 16. Campbell again. Oh, man, slipped, but he threw that one out of bounds anyway. He wanted Jordan Level again, and Level, coming out of his break, slipped.
Yep.
Whether or not he would have gotten to that sideline to catch that is questionable. It was a bit high.
Would have been closer. And again, we talked about these conditions at the beginning of the game. They obviously have not improved. In fact, they've gotten worse as the game goes on. That's what happens on a grass field. But right there, 5-and-out route cut, and Level just couldn't gain his footing.
And we're in that same part of the field, that left side we've been talking about all day, right in the middle of that near hash. And it's a mess. 3rd and 6. And the Clorox will be necessary for the equipment crew for the Rock. And this time the pressure comes again from the Rock, and that was Bobby. Here we go.
Chad Kuhn.
I was going to say number 45 for a moment, but it was Chad Kuhn coming in on the play from the line spot and forced the incompletion. And it'll be a punting situation.
Chad Kuhn, quarterback from Kiski back in his high school days, and now he finds himself playing defensive end in college football, so quite a different turnaround for Kuhn. 6'2", 235, redshirt freshman. The coaching staff really likes what he can do. He thinks, Sean Lutz, at least in conversations with him, say he provides a nice little compliment to Marcus Martin on the opposite side.
Well, he proved it right there with the pressure. Now here's the rugby-style kick from Yao. And he boots it downfield to the 45. It takes a nice bounce. And across the 50 it goes. Looked like it had a hand put on it, but they're going to say it drops at the 47-yard line. That's where the Rock will start out with fairly decent field position at the 9:38 mark of the fourth quarter, leading 35-14.
right here, you can take care of business. You're working with a nice lead, 35-14. You get a touchdown here. I think you put this one out of hand. And I think they can do it again by establishing the run. I thought that was something that proved very vital in that last drive. And I think this is something that the Rock are going to need to take into next week's game. I don't want to look forward with still some clock left in this one. But you need to establish the run as a primary base of any offense, but especially this one.
Well, take away the early fumble. This is the best field position for the Rock today. Now here's a handoff inside. Isaiah Neely goes and is tackled as he crosses the 50 into Kentucky State territory, down to the 47. Number 25 is getting ahead of steam right now.
Yeah, at this point in the game, this is when you want to dominate. This is when you want to have the guys up front blowing up the defensive front, and then that running back being able to run with a lot of room. It's a power of will. It really shows who's in better shape, who's in better conditioning, and who's got more discipline, more talent.
6-yard gain for Neely, 2nd and 4, and a sweep play to the near side now. Stretches it, here comes a flag, and he's open across the 40 for the first down, but that's coming back.
Oh, it was a big one, too. I think they're going to get Chris Larson on it. He was working against trying to find the number here. But anyways, the guy that he held, his jersey isn't attached to his shoulder pad anymore.
And you can see the disappointment of number 79 as he discusses what he did. He said, there was just something crazy about that. My hand got stuck in the jersey. And he's not happy about it.
No, he's not.
He's saying phooey, but nonetheless, it's going to move the Rock backward into their own territory.
Chris Larson, though, 6'4", 315. He's a redshirt sophomore coming out of Erie McDowell. Big guy up front. Again, we talked about this offensive line of being probably one of the stronger assets to this Rock team. Tanner Gary really has not faced any pressure while he's passed, and now we're starting to see them get a push off the ball to help aid the run.
So that makes it a 2nd and 14 after the penalty. Tanner Gary drops back to pass. Straight drop back. Looks, throws, and that one's into the turf. He tried to catch Isaiah Neely as the pressure was coming in, being brought by Jalen Dingle, defensive lineman of the Thorobreds. And that one looked like maybe for the first time today, really, Tanner Gary kind of panicked on that one.
Yeah, and actually he had room if he would have went to his left. The pocket was there. He kept trotting and grazing his way back. And then when he found some defensive end working against the right tackle, he decided just to fire it off. If he steps up to his left, he has plenty of more time, and then I think sees a more wide open field.
And, anxious at this point because he probably knows, hey, we get a touchdown here, we get this good drive. We're really going to be, safely in this game, even though they are at this point. But it's just the mindset. Out of the break, Millie Ray, 2 defenders fall. Millie Ray spins over a tackle, and he's going to go all the way for a touchdown. The pass downfield inside the 30 was picked up, and Millie Ray, again, that athleticism that we talked about earlier, it's a 57-yard touchdown pass.
The home fans like that one. That's a spin move that will make everybody enjoy. There's some people with their hands on their heads. They can't believe that spin move that Millie Ray just put on. And he came out of his break the last man standing. 2 Kentucky State cornerbacks fell down. Millie Ray making a quick break. Basically what was a 20-and-out route. Nice throw from Tanner Gary. Millie Ray was the last one standing. He had a few guys to beat and put on a beautiful spin move.
41-14, the extra point try to come. Chapla with the boot, and it's good. 42-14. The Rock leading at 8:23 mark, and what a play. Millie Ray, unbelievable today. And I mean, and we've talked about it being the Marcus Johnson show, but Millie Ray has been doing pretty fine himself. Now put him up to 132 yards and the touchdown on 7 receptions. So between Marcus Johnson and Millie Ray, they have added up 356 yards themselves in receiving from Tanner Gary.
And I think Tanner Gary's a big part of that. Obviously, those guys can't gain those yards if that ball is not being thrown on point, and that's exactly what Tanner Gary has shown today. I mean, we talked about this in the pregame. Here's a guy that has not played a 4-quarter game since high school. He's went to Bowling Green, got a little action there, decides to transfer to Youngstown State. See some mop-up action there. Says for his final season of football, he wants to come be the guy at Slippery Rock. He had to wait a year to play. He was here last year, a part of the scout team. He has to go into camp in a battle with a transfer from St. Francis, Andrew Kester, along with Augustus Nicastro. He comes out the winner of that, and I think he's showing the coaches why he wants to be the guy this year.
383 yards through the air now for Tanner Gary as the kickoff from Chaplet comes to Silva, and he's off to the races. Got one guy downfield to beat, and that guy's going to retrieve him and knock him out of the road, and he's going to keep his feet and run it back for a touchdown. We knew it was coming.
Yeah.
You felt it because this guy has shown what he can do, and he takes it all the way back and leaves a lot of green and white special teams defenders kind of standing, gasping for air.
Yeah.
As, he just made that all shake and bake happen and kind of shook one last tackler and ran it all the way back for a touchdown.
Yeah, you said it, Bob. Long time coming. You just felt that he was very close to breaking a big special teams play. That's exactly what he did. Brent Silva has put together quite a game for himself. We've seen him be elusive as a running back and then also a dynamite player on special teams. Those are the type of quote-unquote game changers that can be there. Now, the Rock's still working with a pretty nice, sizable lead. But something like that in an in-conference game for Kentucky State, that's the guy that you want on your team.
That is a 93-yard return by Silva. Here's the extra point try. And it's punched through and good. And makes it 42-21 now. So they have the lead. That's have, not have. Mm-hmm. There's an L in there. Wow, some excitement here in the second half for sure. So the Rock responding to a Kentucky State touchdown, and Kentucky State doing it right back with a big, big return of 93 yards for the touchdown. So now the Rock will come on the field and get ready to receive the kickoff.
Yeah, again, you want to see a drive similar to what we saw last time. They went out, showed run first, decided on a third down and long to go into the air. They were able to hook up with Millie Ray. You're hoping to see the same thing here. Again, a sustained drive, attack, 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 and then you have to go through the air, then you do that.
So they will tee it up here. And back deep for Slippery Rock on the kick is going to be Marcus Johnson, along with Millie Ray now back there to join him. And that rain that we had mentioned kind of popped up and then kind of dissipated. I think we just have some real light drizzle kind of falling now. So the damage was already done to the field with all the rain they had yesterday. Here's the kickoff. It's headed right to Marcus Johnson at the 7-yard line. He waits for the blocking to set up, now goes. 10, 15, 20, trips at the 25, is across the 30 and still on his feet. Across the 40, and a defender trying to pull the ball away from him, knocks him down at about the 41-yard line, but we have a flag down at the 35, and this is going to be a hold on the Rock. 7:58 to go in the game. And that's exactly what it is, holding on the return. So we now have had, 16 penalties on the day.
Yeah, I think this is the one thing Sean Lutz and the coaching staff, total.
That's both teams,
yeah.
by the way.
I think this is the one area that you need to continually address throughout the entire season. And I understand game one, there are some things that you can do in camp that just when it translates to game speed, it's tough. But you have to trim on penalties. We've seen that really be the reason why Kentucky State is not in this game. I mean, the Rock have played well, but Kentucky State have had plenty of opportunities where they've shot themselves in the foot. The Rock, simple things like this. Marcus Johnson with a great return. Now you're back to the 26-yard line. That's not where you want to be.
And here's a screen pass as Marcus Johnson comes back for it. Stiff arms a guy and gets across the 20 to about the 23.
The ref almost bit it. He was on the sideline trying to catch the ball. It's a little bit of a slick tarp surface, and boy, he almost went down.
Yeah, they have tarps down here on the sideline to keep everybody from stepping in mud, but it actually can make a dangerous situation that way. Make it a 2nd and short now after the screen pass to Johnson. Now it'll be a handoff inside. This is Isaiah Neely, and he gets a yard out of it, makes it a 3rd and short.
maybe he missed the gap there, and from my angle, he had room. Now, I don't know if maybe closer to him, that gap was closing, and he opted to go that route, but it looked like there was some room to run, and he just missed where to do it.
11 carries for 57 yards now on the day for Isaiah Neely, who's had a really strong second half. Jakar Berry getting primarily the carries in the first half, but fumbled here in the second half. We've not seen him on the field since. Now we have a handoff inside to Neely, and he loses his footing and is snowed under short of the first down, and it'll bring up a fourth down after the no gain. The defensive pursuit was pretty good. I don't know if he would have gotten the first down, but certainly as he tried to cut, you saw his foot come right up out of the mud.
It's really the one area on this side of the field, right around the 30-yard line, where it's mud.
Well, hold on here. You've got number 3 back deep to receive the
Josiah Davis
punt.
punt.
And it's a Josiah Davis back in the game to punt for the first time today. And a flag comes down. Silva is going to make a fair catch call at the 43. But let's see. This looks like an illegal motion penalty on the Rock, and they're certainly going to make them re-kick. Or is that attainable? It's got to be. It's a formation issue. No, it goes to the end of the kick. So it's still going to give them some nice field position here. It'll put them up toward the 50-yard line. And so the game not quite done yet. We've got 6:27 remaining. And a 21-point lead for the Rock, but Kentucky State going to be back here with the ball.
Well, I still think this is that gut check time. This is when you really like to see what you have from your defense. Situation like this, game is out of hand. You don't want to really let things get close, obviously, and I know that sounds like a very obvious statement, but when this game feels like it's going away, you still need these guys to keep their level energy at 10. I mean, they have to be up. They have to be ready to make plays.
They move it out to the 42-yard line. It'll be 1st and 10. Here's Campbell. Play action. Spins around. Looks. Has time. Now he's going to run the ball. And he scrambles up across the 45 before he is hit and knocked to the ground by Tavares Sample. The wide receiver flipped over to defense. Makes the tackle. And it'll pick up 3 yards on the scamper. 2nd down. In the backfield, Silva right next to Campbell, and he's going to take the handoff right up the middle, and waiting for him, number 45, Timmy Vernick, brings him to the ground after a carry out to the 48-yard line, a gain of 3.
Tim Vernick, redshirt freshman, sat last year, now is taking on the starting role of the middle inside linebacker. That's a lot of trust from the coaching staff to put on number 45. And this is a kid, you get him into the weight room, you get him 4 more years of college football under his belt, he's going to be one heck of a football player.
3rd and a long 4. And here's a pass play over the middle to number 88, Cameron Gore, and the big tight end pulls it in for a 1st down.
Marcus Martin coming off the edge, and Campbell was able to sit and find his big target, picked up the 1st down. Nice, solid play by Kentucky State.
And amazing by Campbell, the effort he's done today of withstanding the hits, waiting for that very moment in order to complete a play. 1st and 10 at the 42. Man in motion. Play action again. Roll out near side. Campbell looks downfield. Now he's going to run out of bounds. He was being pursued by the Rock and had to go out of bounds. Forcing him out of bounds was Chad Kuhn.
We do have a flag on the play, far side of the field. Nowhere near the action.
And now we're going to see number 44 come off the field. It's been a long day. I mean, you look at the time of possession. The Rock defense has been on the field a long time today. And on a muddy, sloppy surface like this, it's just got, I mean, you have no legs left.
No, you really don't. And that's what I was talking about with that establishing the run on the offensive side of it. you need to be able to last 4-quarter games, and this is running the air raid offense and what it can do to your defense is tough. That's why we didn't see it last in the NFL. I mean, it worked, a flash in the pan type thing, but you have to be really in shape, and the defense needs to be in shape as well because they're going to be out there quite a bit.
There's a play-action pass. Campbell, obviously a misread of some sort there, as his pass was intended to court Grodhaus. Grodhaus was going down the seam, and he threw that to the outside. He must have expected a turn there. It's incomplete. Second down.
Good pressure up the gut. Finally able to get a body on Paul Campbell. I think that was probably what forced the throw, was heavy pressure, and Level was just covered pretty hard.
Second down. And here's the handoff, and this is Silva, and he goes through the pile and is hit and keeps going before he's brought down at the 29-yard line. Boy, number 3 has turned into a beast today.
Yep, that quick explosiveness we're talking about, where he has the ability to stay patient and then turn it up real quick, be explosive through the gap, because it's only going to be there for a short amount of time, and he does a fantastic job at that.
So first down, Kentucky State. In the shotgun is Campbell. Play action, and he's hit, and he tries to get rid of it, and he's brought down. The sack.
Old Tim Suave.
The transfer in from Lackawanna College from Dobbs Ferry, New York. Tim Suave, number 32, his first sack as a member of the Green and White.
Simply beat his guy off the ball. Just got a quicker first step, got around him, and was able to get into the blind spot of Paul Campbell and take him down. Is that our first sack today?
That is the second sack.
Second sack.
Had one earlier today by Zach Bader.
I mean, it could have been 10. Paul Campbell has just done a nice job of getting rid of the ball. He's made a lot of smart plays.
He really has. So it is second and long. Now a quick pass downfield, knocked away. The intended receiver had that taken away from him by Kyle Hall. Or check that. Tavares Sample. Sorry, having trouble reading the number here. Not 7, it's 2.
They're dirty jerseys, Bob. But the front four, again, giving pressure to Paul Campbell. We've seen them being quite explosive on the past few plays, and I think that speaks to their training, to their physical preparation, getting ready for a college football game.
What a great transition for Sample, though, from wide receiver to defensive back. Here's a pass inside. We've got a flag being dropped. The pass was intended to Anderson, and he was lit up after he let that one go through his hands.
So let's see. It's going to be against Kentucky State. Trying to get a look here. And that's what you like to see, a holding penalty there. That means the defense, and I've been talking about this, I know, kind of ad nauseum, but they have been finally getting the pressure that they need to get through that front line. And that means these guys up front for Kentucky State are getting tired. They're just reaching, they're grabbing, they're trying to hold on to anything they can because the Rock are simply overpowering them in the trenches.
Well, this one is going to pretty much the game for Kentucky State. It's fourth down and 16. Here's Campbell, drops back, looks downfield, he's going for it all, has a man breaking, and overthrows him, and it looked like Sample had a beat on that one again, and it's incomplete, and it'll be a turnover on downs for the second time today.
Tavares Sample wanted the interception on that, but it's actually probably a good thing he didn't. He comes down with that Slippery Rock starting this drive at their own 2-yard line. Instead, they'll get it at their own 35, and this is, I think, just about it, Bob. We may even see a relief pitcher come in here to clean up this game.
3:19 to go as the turnover on downs will give the ball back to the Rock at their own 36-yard line. They lead it here 42-21. And let's see who they do bring out onto the field at this point. It is going to be number 16 for Slippery Rock, Andrew Kester, transfer in from St. Francis. He's a West Allegheny grad and had a very spirited battle in camp with Tanner Gary. And it is Isaiah Neely in the backfield, but as soon as the handoff comes again, second straight play for Neely, went to plant, foot went right out from underneath him because of the muddy turf, and he loses yardage.
Right where they're setting up has now just become a mud puddle, right around the 30-yard line. Makes me wonder if maybe they'll just go to the air here for the lack of not risking injury to Isaiah Neely.
Well, let's see what they do. 2nd and 14. You almost have to just go straight up the gut with it now. They're trying to run the sweeps, and it's just not working. High snap, Kester. Now they're going to do the pitch out. That's how you get out away from the mud, but it's still going to be a no-gain play as the KSU defense was ready on the stretch.
Yeah, you're right. That's actually a good play call there. Just get him out of that mess, and Kester doing a nice job on the flip. Kester, West Allegheny guy, St. Francis is, like you said, Bob, where he transferred from. A lot of people expected him to be the starter at St. Francis, and he did give a spirited battle against Tanner Gary in camp. The coaching staff said the more and more he learned the offense, the better he got. That's why he made it such a close race.
There's some dangerous weapons at quarterback this year. They are definitely looking good. Last year, a little bit of youth backing up Don King.
Yeah.
And there was a battle for that. But now you've got some experienced guys that are going to be able to handle the ball. High snap for Kester. He's going to throw this one. And it is a nice pass play to Landon Yurdy, who did a great job, and he got rung up, hit high, loses the ball. There's a scramble for it, but we've got 4 flags on the field now. And this might be could this be a
this
high
may
hit?
Be an
targeting.
injection, yeah. This may be targeting. And honestly, it happened so quick. I can't tell if it was legitimate or not.
And so let's see what they do here, because he did lose the ball. Kentucky State received it, but it's going to be all for naught. Great job, though, by number 1, Yurdy. He slipped and fell completely to the ground, got himself back up just in time to catch that ball. A beautifully thrown ball by Kester.
Yeah, it really was, and a big heads-up play by Landon Yurdy, who did take a brutal hit, which forced that fumble. But the way it looks, the Rock has their offense out. Kentucky State has their defense out. I'm assuming this is going to be a targeting play, which will then evaporate the fumble. And
well, I think they may have said he was down, because it looked like he was going down.
It was close,
down.
yeah. And maybe that was part of the reason that these flags came out.
Because it looked like he might have had a knee down. It was close. Had a knee down and then got lit up. And a lot of times that can be some frustration. You know, you're still playing passionately, aggressively, but upset too that you're still trailing in this game when you feel like you've played a fairly solid game.
And I really think they do, and you talked about it a while ago, that if you are a Kentucky State fan, or even if you're John Smith, their head coach,
so they did say that Yurdy was down. They get Bo Johnson.
So not targeting, just
on
unsportsman, or just a late hit, essentially.
Yeah, unnecessary roughness.
Yeah. But going back to the quarterback conversation, Tanner Gary, last year for college football, you know, he's the guy, he's the starter. I think he's well earned his spot today. But here's Andrew Kester, a sophomore. You also have Augustus Nicastro, who as a freshman saw time last year. And so, Bob, maybe for the first time, we'll see an actual holdover at that quarterback position, which I think would be really something Sean Lutz and this offensive staff would like. That way they're not bringing in a transfer guy that needs to learn the system. You can work from within. And that's really what you have a lot of. I know we have some transfers out here, and Slippery Rock will always have transfers. If there's Division I talent or even Division II talent that wants to come over and they're very good guys, then they're going to welcome them with open arms. But if you can build a program, I think it's a much better way to go about the process.
And here's the alignment. We've got some pushing and shoving going on right now, back and forth. By the way,
Braden Fuchtman on the carry, redshirt freshman from Berlin Brothers Valley.
Yeah, it's actually Fuffman. We're told. Fuffman with the carry, and that's his first carry of the year, and he picked up a good 3 yards on it.
Yeah.
Brothers Valley. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Baden Brothers Valley?
Yeah. Berlin Brothers Valley. From Berlin,
Brothers
Pennsylvania.
Valley. All right. High snap again. Boy, the snaps have been getting higher and higher. Here's Fuffman, and he's got a nice carry up across the 35, down to the 33-yard line, closes in on first down yardage. He's going to be shy by about 2.5 yards. Be third down.
Yeah, now you're getting to the point where you want to get out of here without major injuries, as we have a Kentucky State defender on the ground. And obviously we've got some guys The backup players are in right now. A lot of talent, though. We talk about a guy like Fuffman. Here's a redshirt freshman. 5'8", 180, not an overwhelming frame, but runs with a lot of power. Andrew Kester, this quarterback that's in here right now, we've seen a lot of good things, heard a lot of good things about him in camp. This is when you like to see these guys get in the game, and that's one thing that we've seen in past years with Slippery Rock football is build a big lead and then get the guys who aren't starters into the game, get them experience. That way you can continue to have that next man up philosophy. When a guy goes down, someone's not stepping into a new role that's unfamiliar to them.
Well, you're looking at guys like Jake Tessick. Looks like also on the field right now. Dakota Clanigan in at wide receiver. Colton Robb is also into the game on offensive line.
Football scores from around the country.
Brandon Zalevi.
Kentucky and Southern Miss.
As the Kentucky State
First quarter, no score.
defender is still down on the field. Looks like
52 to nothing.
I'm not going to speculate on a number. It's
Yeah.
got to twist it up a little bit.
Looks like number 2.
21.
And that would be Bo Johnson,
Michigan 9,
who actually,
Florida
I think, was called for that penalty. He is up on his feet, but looks like he might have twisted an ankle in that mud on the field. Looks like Brad Schaefer in on an offensive line as well. So Brad Schaefer out of West Shamokin. Salevi out of Deer Lakes. So some guys getting to see the field here with
You
the
can
Rock
tell.
leading 42-21, and we only have under 30 seconds remaining in the game now.
You can tell they haven't seen much action because they're the ones with the white jerseys.
We can read their numbers still. So we're set to go. The injured player did just make his way off the field, walking a bit gingerly.
Slippery Rock ball into
So
33.
third down and
4.
about a long 3, close to 4.
Probably just fall on the ball here and call it a day.
Yeah, I would imagine we'll take a knee in the backfield.
They may not even have to snap it, actually. There's 32 seconds left on the play clock. And
Yeah, it's under 10 seconds. So that'll be the last play of the game. Rock going to come away with an opening day victory here at Kentucky State as the handshakes start to ensue between the two teams. And the visit to Frankfort, Kentucky is productive for the Rock. Final score 42-21. We'll be back to recap today's action in just a moment on the Rock Station 97.7.
Fans, thank you for attending today's game. The next time the Thoroughbreds are in action here at Alumni Stadium will be on September 16th, Kentucky Wesleyan College for uniform professionals.
Attorney General number PA4619. We need some more text, Mr. Schneider.
With Schneider's 1-hour character.
Which means you pride yourself on doing a spectacular job.
Going the extra mile for people.
And being available 24/7.
So you need to be totally flexible.
Ready to rescue someone at 2 a.m. if their furnace goes out.
And happy to do it.
Because you've got character.
They don't even need experience, Mike.
Ooh, let's give them badges.
No badges. They just need training.
We'll teach them everything.
Be willing to learn.
Schneider's 1-hour techs are committed to putting Butler's families first.
So start a career
At $45,000 a year,
plus health care, vacation, retirement.
join our family of all-star technicians and get a badge.
No badges, but everything else.
Okay, we'll talk about it.
And call us today. 283-8525. Schneider's 1-hour. On time, day or night. 283-8525.
Well, let me tell you something, brother.
Our team from All Fit Fitness won the Wiffle Ball tournament hosted by the Rock Station 97.7 last year, and we're issuing the challenge to any other teams that are out there. Really, any hot shots that think they can beat us, you need to get registered.
But to be the man, you gotta beat the man. Woo! Woo!
We're good, and our
You guys want any more spots after this?
football game starts at
Now we're good.
now, so bring your A game.
Hey, Rock Station 97.7 invites you to form a team and play wiffle ball in support. It's about the Warrior Foundation. To register, go to 977rocks.com, and we'll see you at the Beacon September 16th.
You're listening to Slippery Rock University Football on the Rock Station 977.
Well, we're back here in Frankfort, Kentucky Alumni Stadium this afternoon. The Rock coming away with their road trip worthy 42-21 victory, first game of the season here. Let's recap the second half scoring for you, and it was an exciting third quarter to say the least. Kentucky State getting the ball via the Rock winning the toss at the beginning of the game and went 3 and out, punted right away to open up the second half. And the Rock put together a very solid drive that ended with a Isaiah Neely 5-yard touchdown pass. It was a 10-play drive, and that put the Rock up 28-0 at that point. But Kentucky State would come right back. And, it pretty much was the Paul Campbell show and the Brent Silv show today. And Silv had a touchdown pass reception of 40-plus yards from Campbell. That would cut the lead to 28-6, put basically Kentucky State on the scoreboard. They would miss the extra point. However, the Rock would fumble on the very next play. Jakar Berry put the ball on the turf, gave the ball right back to Kentucky State, and much like they did to the Rock in the beginning of the game, turning the ball over to the Rock, and the Rock hitting pay dirt, Kentucky State would do the same, cut the lead to 28-14. This time it would be a 4-yard touchdown run by the quarterback, Paul Campbell, and they put together a pretty impressive trick play to get the 2-point conversion with a direct snap to Silva, who would then hand the ball off to Demetrius Anderson on an end around, and Anderson threw the ball to his quarterback in the end zone for a touchdown. So, Paul Campbell, a touchdown reception today, and would make it 28-14. The Rock answered right back, though. A short drive that was aided by a penalty would be a very impressive touchdown pass, and it was a good pass, but a remarkable effort by Marcus Johnson to just make some moves and school people on how to stay in bounds and avoid tackles. A 48-yard touchdown pass from Tanner Gary to Marcus Johnson. That would give the Rock, again, a comfortable lead of 35-14 once again. And then Millie Ray, maybe the play of the day, as good as Marcus Johnson has been today. Spin move-a-rama by Millie Ray on a 57-yard touchdown reception, and that would increase the lead to 42-14. The ensuing kickoff would be returned by Silva, 93 yards for a touchdown, and that would be our final scoring of the day, 42-21. The final, Tanner Gary in his Rock debut, 390 yards, 5 touchdowns. Marcus Johnson, first game as a senior, 231 yards, 3 touchdowns. Millie Ray, 132 yards and a touchdown as well. Just a very, very solid effort. And Isaiah Neely, a very veteran-like 14 carries, 54 yards and a touchdown. Really kind of steadied the ship after a slow start in the backfield today by some of the other ball carriers.
Yeah, you little concern coming out of the gate, especially in the first half, what you saw from the offense running game, that is, and you saw in the second half the tides turn. You saw the offensive line starting to build bigger holes for Isaiah Neely to run through. And we saw Isaiah Neely step up, and Bob, I'm going to be honest, I think he put himself into the starter's job next week. I think we saw a guy who, again, has been living in the shadow of some pretty good running backs in his career at Slippery Rock. And I do think in the back of your mind, as a talented running back like he is, that you're thinking, I can take this job. I can step up. I can be the guy. I've been the number 2. I've been the number 3. I've never had the opportunity to step up and be the guy. He's got in-game experience. He knows the offense. I think those are all things that really compound and make a good running back in this league, in Division II football, in the PSAC, and I think that's something that he knows, that he can embrace, and I think we saw that in the second half today because, as I said earlier, it's great that you can pass the ball. It's great Tanner Gary can throw the ball all over the field, but if you can't establish the run, the passing doesn't happen. So that's what's so crucial about that aspect of the game. And I'm sure Justin Roper will tell you that, Sean Lutz will tell you that. And that's why it's so crucial to their defensive philosophy. And that's why they've been top 10 in the country for so many years at stopping the run, because they believe if you can stop the run and force teams to pass, they're not going to beat you. And so the Rock obviously need to have that mentality on offense. We need to run the ball because we know that's just crucial to our offensive philosophy. And they were able to do that later in this game.
And I think you really saw the Rock offense really start to become a lot more productive in this second half. A little more efficiency, a little more confidence, certainly having a lead going in at halftime. was conducive to maybe setting that up for you. But they finished the day with 487 total yards, 403 of those yards passing yards, and they were effective today. Third down conversions, we talked about that all last year. That was just an area that they seemed to struggle with.
Yeah.
8 of 13 on third down efficiency today. They only possessed the ball 21 minutes compared to 38 for Kentucky State, but they didn't let Kentucky State to generate any kind of momentum to really get back in this game or stay with the Rock as the game got a little further out of hand. And certainly Kentucky State's problems with penalties proved fruitful today in the way of helping the Rock. 11 penalties. The Rock themselves had 8 alone, which I think you can kind of take that, being that it's the first game.
Yeah.
That's something you can look at. There's a lot of things going on with the first game scenario.
Especially with a lot of freshmen, a lot of first-time players out on the field. So a lot of mistakes I think were pretty correctable today for Slippery Rock. I think they beat a very talented Kentucky State team. Now, I know the Thoroughbreds shot themselves in the foot on a number of occasions, but what I saw from quarterback Paul Campbell, and Bob, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think that'll be easily on level with what they'll see in the PSAC, if not better. I thought Paul Campbell played one heck of a game today for Kentucky State, and I thought Slippery Rock was able to defend him well enough. No deep passes. No one got burned on anything. The front seven really did their job well. I thought overall, I think Sean Lutz and this coaching staff can be pretty happy with what they've seen. I'm sure they'll find areas, coaches always do, where you need improvement. But I think for the most part, you have to be happy if you're the Rock to come away with a win here today and do it in the fashion that they did.
Well, they pulled out 4 sacks today. Zach Bader, Timmy Vernick, Suave and Martin. Marcus Martin did pick up a sack today, and we didn't think that was going to get credited, but it did, thankfully. So he adds to his total. He's got 1. But when you look down the list, and we'll talk more about Marcus Martin in a moment, you look down the list today, Tavares Sample, what a great debut transitioning from receiver to defensive back. He had 11 tackles today and some very critical tackles today. A lot of times when you see a defensive back getting the most tackles, that's because you're getting burned up. Yeah, you're getting burned up. But they were key tackles where he was coming in and making plays. Marcus Martin, 10 tackles today, that is. 5 tackles for a loss, which ties a new Rock record. Also today, when you look at this, Timmy Vernick, Dylan Whiteman, Tristan McDonald, 7, 6, and 5 tackles. Those are your 3 freshman linebackers.
Yeah.
Very solid effort today. They didn't show that they were freshmen.
No, and I think that's huge. And that was one thing that Sean Lutz was saying was, look, these guys don't know any better. They know the type of brand of football they've played. They've seen maybe glimpses of these. But you have 2 true freshmen a part of that linebacking core, and you've got Tim Vernick there as well. So these are guys who I think, especially, you need to get more weight on them, which they will. The more they're in this program, the more they train, they're going to get bigger. But the logistics of where they were, nothing that really stood out as a glaring mistake from what I saw, Bob. They were in on tackles. They wanted to be physical. They really didn't show any intimidation factor, at least from afar. And I think that is quite a big mental thing for this team, is that, look, we're the front seven. We're the guys. They're not looking over their shoulders for the most part. They've been handed the keys to the defense, and they know they have to compete, and I think we saw that tonight. I was very impressed with what I saw from Tim Vernick. Looked a lot like his brother, and I know he wants to create his own individual image, but I think the comparisons are just going to be natural there. They're playing the same position. Tristan McDonald, really like what I saw from him. Dylan Whiteman, I like what I saw from him as well. I think the front four will continue to get better. Obviously, Marcus Martin is the anchor of that. They need to be good. You need guys, hopefully Trey Blanford comes back healthy next game against Westchester, but I really liked what I saw from Zach Bader. Tim Suave, he's a guy that I really think made some nice plays, but those front four need to be good because really the Kuhn, Suave, Blanford, Bader, those are the guys that need to step up because they need to take a little bit of pressure off of Marcus Martin because everybody in their offensive game plans each week are going to circle number 44. This is the guy we need to take care of. That means the other 3 need to step up to the occasion.
Absolutely, and taking a look at where Marcus Martin is right now after the 5 tackles for a loss today and that 1 sack, he is in the top 5 all-time in the nation. Now, we know coming in, He was already the Slippery Rock University School record leader in tackles for a loss and sacks, and the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference as well. So now it's just how high can he get up on the all-time lists? Well, in the career tackles for a loss now, that has given him 70 overall, and he is in 5th place, just a half sack from tying two players who are tied for 4th. And at this point, he is 7 tackles for a loss away from the all-time record. On the sack totals, Marcus Martin now with 41.5 sacks. That moves him into 5th all-time. And at this particular moment, 5 sacks away from the all-time record. So a great start today for Marcus Martin in that trek up the national ladder. And, of course, you're looking at the overall scenario, too, as far as all-time career sack record. Again, that mark set by Lucky Barrett, McHenry College last year. 46 and a half sacks all time. That's another mark. That's all divisions. Division 1, FBS, FCS, Division 2. Pretty impressive numbers to be put up against.
We do have some Division II finals that went final. Bloomsburg falling to Stonehill, 44-28 there. Lake Erie got trounced by Edinburgh, 30-3, the final score there. Kutztown falls to Assumption, 31-28. Mercyhurst falls to Hillsdale, 19-11. Lock Haven got killed by St. Francis, 69-3. Cheney taking it to Lincoln, 56-28, the final score there. So just some scores from around the country and around the PSAC.
And around these parts of Frankfort, Kentucky, Slippery Rock goes to victory today, 42-21, and come away for the first game of the season, 1-0, and very successful. They keep that streak going of season-opening wins. So you've got to like that. The Rock has been able to come out of the gate each and every year, very, very solid. And, there's a lot to like with what happened today.
Oh, I think there's a lot to like, not only for today and for next week, but I think even in the next 3 years. I think we saw a lot of things where a lot of guys, we talked about a lot of the defensemen, we talked about a lot of guys on offense. Sean Lutz has put together a nice little base for his program, and I think this is going to be a very competitive Slippery Rock team this year.
Well, things don't get easier, that's for sure.
No, they don't.
They're going to go up against a team that had a pretty impressive debut here this year in their own right, and that's the rivalry between the Rock and Westchester. It comes to the Rock next week, and the schedule, wow. Pretty impressive teams they're going to go up against, teams that were recognized in rankings and playoff contenders. They're going to be coming through Slippery Rock. What a home schedule this year. You've got IUP and Cal at home. Next week, Westchester comes to town, and we'll have the coverage for you. They're picked to finish first in the East, and there are pretty good reasons for that, and I think they proved that this week with the big win they had. So we'll have it for you next week. The next test up, Westchester comes to Mahalik-Thompson Stadium, and that'll be a 6 o'clock kickoff next Saturday night, September 9th, and we'll have the Coach Sean Lutz show kick things off at 5:30. So hope you'll be there. It's going to be a great, great week, and should be an exciting football game. And by the way, it's Hall of Fame game time next week, so we'll have some details on that coming up for halftime next week.
Sounds good to me, Bob.
Well, Tyler Friel, great job. Fun trip down. We had an enjoyable stay here, and thanks to our hosts at Kentucky State, and certainly thanks to John Holtz, Director of Athletic Communications, and all he does for our broadcast here, and for the ride down, too.
Yeah.
So
he took care of us a great deal this weekend.
Yes, it was. Congratulations to Coach Sean Lutz and the Slippery Rock University football team. Again, they come away with a 42-21 victory. I'm Bob Cupp for Tyler Friel, and thanks to Justin Glagola making it happen back at the studio for us. We'll be back on the air next Saturday evening at 5:30 for more Rock football on the Rock Station 97.7, 977rocks.com, and rockathletics.com. Thanks, Glags.
Say, Glags.